What up, people? What's good? Salute.
Yes, sir.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Salute to the tribe. We're hip hop and comics and hip hop. We're a niche channel. Reserved for the best. It's super dope. I do sell comics. Check me out on Instagram at 6th_element_comics. Yeah, because comic books are the sixth element of hip hop. What's good, y'all? Sixth element of hip hop in the building. Reno Noir, I'm your host. This is my co-host, Stu Dog. It is a wonderful Monday evening. Slade, what's good? Thank you, sir. We what's good with you, Stu, man? What's happening, bro? You had a fucked up day, man. What happened, man? Tell us about the tragedy that befell your son's automobile. I think you're muted.
It's been a day, man. Somebody
Man,
stole my son's automobile, man.
that's wild. How did tell us, man? What went down? How'd that go down?
Well, he went into a store, 7-Eleven, to purchase some products and left his car running. Somebody did the old 90s jump in your car and take off.
That'll happen.
Man. Yeah, it will. I didn't think people still did that nowadays. Just about every car has OnStar on it, so
Right.
you can track them. So.
Oh yeah, people still steal them. Yeah, they steal them. I know they stole mine before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
no,
had a car
I've
stolen?
been through it. Oh, I've been through it. Yeah, no, I've been through it.
Yeah.
I've been jacked at gunpoint. I mean that's just life in
Nah,
the hood.
get out.
That's
You
life
sure?
in the hood. No, I've been like jacked by gunpoint twice. Got pistol whipped. That's just life in the hood. I mean, this is how it goes. I mean, you give and you get. You know what I'm saying? It goes around, it comes back around.
It comes back around, yeah.
But you know, we deal with these things, and it's just par for the course. You know, it's what do you call it? Charge it to the game. But no, it happens, though.
Drink the paint from the Pyrex, huh?
You know,
So,
but
yeah, man. I feel bad for him because he's young, man. He really,
well, one
he
time
don't
my
bother
wife,
anybody.
who's not young, she's 43. She
Right.
left the car running, ran in the house to get her hairbrush. Like I said, mind you, we live in the hood. This is not no nice suburban neighborhood where you can leave the car running in a driveway. This is a neighborhood where random motherfuckers be walking down the sidewalk and will hop in your shit and pull off. It's running. So that happened to her. And then, but the situation was good. Corey was good. The situation with me was I was selling clothes at the time. I had sort of, I was trying to just be legit and just have my own business. That was something legal. That was something that, I wouldn't get messed with the cops, but it was something that I could still be my own boss and stuff. So I got into selling like high, top label clothes, like, hip hop labels, Academics, Coogee, LRG at the time, Fat Farm, and Sean John, all of that stuff. And I sold it out of my car. Like I would pop the trunk and have stacks of Jabot jeans, like, regardless, whatever was hot, whatever was the dope clothes. And I would just pull up on spots and sell clothes. And the one time I made the mistake, it was a rule that I had. I never would ever meet anybody if I didn't roll up on you and surprise you. You know what I mean? With the trunk,
Right.
with the whip, with the merch. If I didn't roll up and surprise you, we didn't talk. It wasn't no, yo, meet me over here, none of that, because that's how you end up getting robbed. And the one time, this cat that I had dealt with him 3 times, and so I kind of felt like, okay, he's spent a few grand with me at this point. And I was like, all right, fuck it. He wanted me to meet him over somewhere. I was like, fuck it, break my rule. One time, got there, he shows up with his boy. They pull up in the alley, and I knew something was kind of off. I could feel it. My wife and my baby was with me. We were just about to get on the interstate and go and travel down to the next to another city. and we was just about to go. I had just gassed up. We was fresh. It was early. It's getting ready to go. It was lovely, and we pulled up in the alley, and dude pulled out the pistol, and he was like, "Give me the keys. I'm bucking." And I'm like, "Yo," I said, "My baby's in the back seat." I said, "I got a car seat in the back, cuz with an infant in the trunk or in the back." I said, "Just chill the fuck out." I said, "It ain't worth all that." I said, "I'm gonna give you the keys. Let me get my baby first." So you know what I'm saying. So that was my whole. I couldn't care less about the car. I had my wife, my kid with me. I could not have cared less about the trunk full. It was about 10 grand in merchandise, pretty much everything we had just read up. It was a whole and but I just took my baby and my wife, put them between me and the pistol, had my back to the pistol, and just sort of walked away. Crazy story though. That's not even the crazy part of the story. You want me to go on?
Yeah, hell yeah.
So we I'm backing up like this, and right as I'm backing up, and he hops in the whip and goes to pull off, and a cop comes around the corner right then, and he looks at the cop, he looks at me, and he puts the pistol up by the window, and he like gives me a motion like, "Don't say shit." And I see the cop, and I'm like, "Fuck that!" And I'm like, "Yo!" I said, "Yo! This motherfucker just robbed me." I said, "Ah, ah, ah." The cop looks at me, and the cop looks at them, and it's a lady cop, and she sees us, she sees the cop, or she sees them, and she doesn't do it. She freezes. They drive off. They cross in front of her, pass in front, drive right in front of her, cross the street, go over, head down the road, go a whole block down the road, turn and disappear before she decides to go ahead and turn and follow them. So she had fucking already lost him. It was already a wrap at that point. So she went off where she went, and we went down the road, and with that, she pulled back up. She's like, we got the eagle up, and helicopters everywhere, and cars whipping up and down the road, cop cars everywhere, unmarked cars. It was the whole hood was on fire, and they never found them. They drove two more. They drove like 2 blocks, hit an alley, banked to the right, went up in a driveway, and parked it, and they disappeared. So about 2 days later, cops called us, and they were like, "Yeah, we found the car." Blah blah blah. So I went down and got the car, obviously, but all they had took was the clothes. That's all they wanted. Car was intact. I had a system in there, a couple of tens, a nice amp, everything, and beautiful, everything. They didn't touch any of it. They just took the clothes out the trunk and left it all, left the car and everything. So
Wow.
that was good. That was good, but like I said, man, that was like 10 grand in merchandise, so that was not good for the business. That was a big speed bump.
Wow, man. That's powerful, man. I mean, I would have
Yeah.
been, I don't know what I would have did, man. Cause you don't expect nothing like that, man. Like not like that. That stuff you see in the movies, and you for it to happen to you in real life, man. You like, damn, like
Well, I got
I
many
would have,
stories that you would
I'd have been
you would
frozen.
well, I got many stories that you would be like, that's only in the movies. Straight up,
Right,
that you would not believe, bro. It's like I'm gonna write a book, dog. You already know I wrote a book. You already know I
right,
sent you my
right.
manuscript.
I'm doing good. Joe
You've
was
heard,
good
you've
too.
seen
Doing
some of this
good.
shit, dog. It's wild, man. It's wild what goes on, man. People have no idea. And that was the sort of laid back one. But we want to get into this. I got a whole other story, but that's even crazier. But we're gonna get into this Star Wars stuff, man, because Saturday we tried it. We tried to get into it. We tried to deep dive, and we got distracted. And well, I did, and started talking about DC stuff, and we got deep into that DC. What was it? Night Terrors, which looks amazing, by the way, and I can't wait to chop up when that comes out. But yeah, man, we got to get into this Star Wars stuff because it's a lot. Oh no. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Stu, did you see the Mandalorian last week?
Yes, I did, sir. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I enjoyed that episode, but it was just so much backlash that came after that episode, man.
Yeah.
Uh, it just it's a lot, man. People saying the Mando's gonna die. They're gonna make it the Bo-Katan show.
Right.
Uh, they turn it into the Star Wars, the She Wars universe. Um, it's just a lot, man. I wouldn't even. I don't even know where to begin. So I'm just gonna go with the obvious. If Mando dies,
Right.
a lot of people are gonna stop watching this. They're gonna stop, man. It's just
A lot of people will.
um, yeah, and going and even going deeper, Reno, going into that one article you sent me last week, where it was like Kathleen Kennedy was like, she wants to feminize Star Wars. She don't care. She's bringing more female characters. They're bringing back Ray.
They're
They,
not. This is not. Hey, that's not no. That's not no conspiracy shit. Like that's
right,
literally out
right,
of her
yeah,
mouth.
yeah, right. That's dread. That's why I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like if Mando dies and they make this the Bo-Katan show, people are going to lose. They're going. That's it. Star Wars is done. It's done. Might as well
Yeah,
just
you
put a
can
fork in
forget
it.
about it.
You can forget. People are gonna. They're not gonna even watch it anymore. They're gonna, and it does seem that way because you got Grogu and a remote control robot, so it doesn't need to be. You know, he can get around a little better now. They showed a
That was
pilot of
cool
ship
though. He's got
already.
like that mech. Like that was pretty dope.
Yeah, I like
I
that.
gotta say that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was dope.
There was some cool
Um,
shit. I love Moff Gideon's Mandalorian outfit. I can't wait to get the action figure. That's my, you know what I'm saying? I see them and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a dope figure.
they
Like
got to
that's
make a figure for that.
oh
And
yeah.
they had the now, yeah, Rena was those Praetorian guard in there that killed the heavy gunner dude that you had. Are those
Yeah.
Praetorian guard?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
did Moff Gideon see? That's another question that comes
You
up.
wanna know about
How
the
the hell did Moff?
Mandalorian guy?
How the hell did Moff Gideon get Praetorian guards? I only thought they hung around like the Emperor or like Darth Vader or like a Sith
Right.
Lord. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have expected them to be with Moff Gideon.
Well, well, so in episode 7 of The Mandalorian, Moff Gideon makes his triumphant return, proving just how badly the darkness has been growing behind the ignorance of the New Republic. And Moff is planting the seeds of the First Order, but after learning that Bo-Katan and Din Djarin are amassing their Mandalorian forces to order, in order to retake the homeworld, of Mandalore, Moff realizes that, such an army made up of highly trained warriors cloaked in Beskar armor would be a real fucking threat to his plans of restoring the imperialist regime that was known as the Empire that we know, unfortunately, that they're sticking with this dumbass sequel trilogy canon, and it's going to be the new order or whatever they, that crispy bullshit. So Moff plans to, he plans an ambush with Mandalore, to basically to wipe out the threat. And his ambush is made up of stormtroopers that are also dressed in Beskar, and they're adorned with jetpacks, and it's a dope, it's a violent, it's a pretty, formidable force, much greater than the stock standard stormtroopers that, that we're used to, that can't shoot straight and all of that. And but these, flying enhanced like stormtroopers were just sort of a representation of what Moff is rendering for the new empire that will inevitably become the First Order. And he's taken pieces of greatness from the past, cloning technology, studies of midichlorians and the Jedi and Beskar armor, Mandalorian history, and now he's attempting to unite parts of these entities in order to forge, a much stronger army than that of the empire, but through his like studies and of history, in his personal experience, Moff Gideon, he understands that the powerful strength, and skill that runs through Mandalorian blood. And so, going up against such a power begs for greater protection than that of flying stormtroopers. He needs something special. He needs something that this is next level shit. So at request of Moff, his fellow Imperial warlords send him 3 elite Praetorian guards. That's these red suited dudes with the energy weapons. One dude's got like a light energy whip. I think I have. No, I don't have it anymore. But these, so these,
Whoa, whoa, you don't have any. You don't have any.
I don't have a Praetorian no more. I had a Praetorian Funko
Oh,
Pop.
okay. I thought you had. I thought
Yeah,
you had one. I was getting ready to say you don't have a Black Series joint. You don't have none of the
I did
Black
though.
Series ones.
I'm looking around. I thought I did though. Anyway, I don't know. But let me see. Let me see if I can pull down a photo, man, so y'all know what they look like. Y'all know who they are. So you remember in the sequel trilogy with Kylo Ren and Sloth from the Goonies. I meant Snoke. Uh,
Yes.
he's got his little, his crew. He had those guys that were all in red. Those are the Praetorian Guards. Um, so I'm sure you guys, watched The Mandalorian, but if you didn't, and if you didn't see the Praetorian Guards that we are speaking of, I like to give a visual. So I'm trying to. So here you go. So that's who they look like. They have like no eye holes, no face, very creepy. You know what I'm saying? Very ominous and very fucking lethal. They are badass elite guards. They are built for fighting Jedi. They're built for fighting lightsabers and force users. And the elite Praetorian Guards, better known as the Praetorian Guards, are loyal and strong guards, all dressed in red. Identities are unknown. They keep the red helmets on at all times, much like the Mandalorians. And the elite Praetorian Guards were first seen in The Last Jedi, but their red appearance is undoubtedly reminiscent of the Emperor's royal guards. Remember how the Emperor in Return of the Jedi had those red dudes with the long like the long helmet that just sort of went down into the shoulder, right? Remember the red dudes? They were just had like a red cape. All you saw was the cloak. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know you talking about.
In Return of the Jedi,
Yeah,
the old movies. Yeah,
the
so
old
those
ones.
red
Now,
dudes.
but now those are Praetorian guards too, right? Or no?
Right. So what I was saying was those guys are the sort of inspiration, obviously, for these guards. But yeah, they're basically the Emperor's royal guard. And they didn't do a lot. They looked very intimidating, but we never saw them fight. We didn't know what they could do. I always wondered, and I always thought that they must be bad as fuck. I always thought, what type of weapons do they have under those cloaks and shit? So this was a cool way, or this was cool because we got to see them in action. You know what I'm saying? And in Return of the Jedi, their red suits were a very memorable touch, a very memorable stark, clash against the background of the, very black and white, very silver and gray of the Empire, the Death Star and stuff like that. But the Emperor just instructed the Red Guards to leave his chambers after Luke strolled in with Vader. So their function was really just to stand there and look cool. In Revenge of the Sith, the Royal Guards stand there and look cool again after Palpatine nominated himself as Emperor of the universe, but their supposed competence at guarding Palpatine failed pathetically when Master Yoda just basically wiped them out with a wave of his little hand. And but it was clear that the First Order needed better guards and soldiers, right, than the Emperor and than the Empire. And so perhaps the Emperor's royal guard simply did just inspire the fashion of the elite Praetorian guards, because these guys definitely have proved themselves as much more capable fighters. In episode 7 of The Mandalorian, we see Paz Vizsla, the big gunner guy, played by John Favreau, foolishly, needlessly, and pointlessly sacrificed himself for no reason. Was really stupid for his for no reason. And basically, but he was a fierce, big strong warrior, and basically his proficiency with the heavy blaster was good against Moff's flying Beskar wielding wearing stormtroopers. But when the Praetorian Guards rolled in, the electric pole arms with the Sith scythe type blades at the ends and the electro whip type shit, basically were powerful enough to penetrate the cracks in the Mandalorian Beskar and you know wiped him out pretty easily, killed him pretty easily. but their intimidating presence, accentuated by their crimson and faceless attire, is definitely another representation of what has been brewing behind the New Republic's backs. And it is interesting to learn that the inception of the elite Praetorian Guards occurred much earlier in the Star Wars timeline than the New Order that we thought that they came from, because we only saw them in the Star Wars sequels. Remember, we first saw them in Last Jedi when um they were highly skilled, like different forms of martial arts. They kicking and shit like that, and basically they served Supreme Leader Snoke. But after Kylo Ren kills Snoke and saves Rey, the Praetorian Guards roll in and swarm Kylo and Rey, and fueled by vengeance for their emperor, or their boss, their supreme leader. But it's a dope scene. It's a definitely, well, it's visually dope, I guess you could say. Story wise, the scene is ridiculous. None of it makes any sense, but that's the sequel trilogy for you. Visually
They,
stunning.
well, they
And
say,
that's
well,
the
they
sequel
say that.
trilogy for you.
Well, they say Reno in that part of the movie that J.J. Abrams had a plan, and that the director that directed that movie went against it. They weren't supposed to kill Snoke until the third movie and reveal who he really
Right.
was. The director took it upon himself to kill Snoke, keep it a secret, and they didn't know until it was too late to turn back and try to change it. So
Ryan
they
Johnson
fired him. Yeah, they fired him. J.J. Abrams went back to the director's seat, and
gave us
that's
the
what
atrocity that was the third movie.
that was the third movie, right? So nobody knew who Snoke was, and they were keeping that a tight-lipped secret until the third movie.
Sloth
But
from the Goonies. Hey,
yeah, it's
you
like
guys.
so we'll see what. And Star Wars has been an atrocity since these sequel trilogies, since Disney took over. Really, man, they haven't. Personally, if you ask me, as a fan of Star Wars media and things of that nature, I think Disney's handled it quite poorly. They, they've uh,
To
they
say the least.
they've done everything that they can do to actually turn off
Watch it.
fans. Yeah, botch it. I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do. Are they trying to get new fans? Are they trying to I don't know, start if you want like remember we talked about this before. If you want to start something different, then just do it.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted Ray to be this supreme Jedi character, then do your own story. Do a whole Star Wars story with just Ray. Like you could write something and
Yeah.
just and rock off with it. But don't kill off the old characters that we loved and grown and loved and things like that. Push somebody else to the forefront and push everybody
Right.
else to the back. And it makes no sense. And the Mandalorian is the best thing we got from Star Wars since Star Wars, man. And now they want to, just do away with it, man. It seems, it seems like anytime they get something successful, Disney comes and just and kicks it back, man. It's like we
Well,
take
yeah, I
two
mean
steps
Kennedy,
forward, they kicking two
Kathleen
steps
Kennedy.
back.
She
And
fucking
why
John.
is she
Well,
still in
well,
charge? Like, why is she
because
still in charge?
John Favreau, okay, has pretty much fell back. He's like fell back from the story. That's why season 3 has been trash, because he's not really caring about the fucking story anymore, because Kennedy will not leave the fuck alone. She the whole thing with the book of Boba Fett, she made, that whole thing, Favreau didn't want to do that, didn't want to make that. And they had to, and so she was all in that shit, fucking that up, made that bullshit. And he's done, man. He's fed up, and I don't blame him, dude. They're ridiculous, dude. They are ridiculous. They don't care about Star Wars. I don't They have this agenda of, this feminist, kill the patriarchy, let's balance the playing field and all this bullshit that doesn't matter and have anything to do with Star Wars. And they don't care about Star Wars. So it's like, if that's your agenda, cool. Go make shows and movies all about that. Go make shows about women, and do your that's they got whole channels for it. They got all kinds of movies for it. There's lots of stuff for that. And let Star Wars just be Star Wars, because Star Wars has a millions of female fans because they've always had great, strong female characters ever since Princess Leia up through Ahsoka, okay, and all in between. All right, so
Yaddle. Don't forget Yaddle.
they're good
Like
with
that,
that.
yeah.
They've had plenty, so we don't need that. And your agenda has destroyed the IP. Like you've bought this $1 billion thing from George Lucas, and then you fucked it up. You trashed it and made it worthless. Well, I won't say worthless because they still make a lot of money. The thing is this Rey movie, which I want to talk to you about, we're gonna chop it up. We're gonna talk about it because listen, it's Star Wars. The problem is with the sequel trilogy, we got fooled. I was fooled. I thought they were great at first. They fool the fuck out of you at first because visually they're gorgeous. They're blending visual effects with puppets again. You know what I mean? It was like the first movies mixed with the prequel trilogy. It was just they were brilliant at first. I was like, oh, this is great. I'm watching Force Awakens. And I'm like, oh, this is great. And everyone thought it was great. And oh yeah, there's the look at that. And right. And then you get home and you start thinking about it and you're like, but wait a minute. Like The Force Awakens, that was just the first movie, pretty much beat for beat with new characters and done, but not even as good as that. So, and then you're like, where are they going with it? And then you see the second one, and it's like, whoa, this is cool. But then you watch it, and it's like, oh, this is really cool. Oh, that character, man, I can't wait to see who uh Zori Bliss. I can't wait to see who that is. Like all these characters from the trailer and shit. And then we get this crap with that they sort of build Finn as the main character. We thought Finn was going to be this force sensitive, maybe even Jedi, because that's how they acted in the trailer. Like he was going to be the main guy. And by the third movie, he's just there to like cheer Rey on and scream her name as she's the main character now. She's now Luke Skywalker. She's come, and Luke Skywalker is like, they made him this hermit, like this old fool that's like, the Jedi have to end. He would never, bro, it makes no sense. So anyway, like we pretended to like that because we love Star Wars so much, Stu. We love it so much that, and we didn't know yet. We didn't know what was behind that. We didn't know what was fueling all that. We didn't know Kathleen Kennedy's agenda. We didn't know what they had in store. So we were fooled at first. That's why those are $1 billion movies. That's why they're making a new Rey film, because she made $1 billion franchise. Billions of dollars. Because of us. Because of the fans, because we love it so much. We went and saw it anyway. We went and saw it twice. We brought our families. We told our friends. We saw it 5 times because we love Star Wars. Now we know better. Don't go see this Rey movie. Just don't go fucking see it. Everyone, if you are a fan of Star Wars, boycott that film. Don't go see it. Don't go pay for it. Bootleg it. Watch it. I know you want to see it. We're going to watch it. I'm going to watch the fuck out of it, but I'm going to bootleg it. Don't pay them no money. Don't pay no money at the box office so that they can see that that's not what the fans want, because they are fooling themselves that because those sequel movies were so popular or successful, I should say, that they're loved and that people want that because they made all this money. What they will refuse to believe is that they only made that money because they bamboozled us, they fooled us, they hoodwinked us, they pulled the wool over our eyes. Bro, what they did was equivalent to what McDonald's does to us with food. They made it look fancy, just how McDonald's makes it taste great, but it has no nutritional value. There's no substance. There's nothing in it. There's nothing inside. And now we've got these different factions of writers and creators that some of them know and love Star Wars, and some of them want to, keep it going and make it great. And then there's other factions, like not just Kathleen Kennedy, but what's her name? She was at Marvel. Okay, this is the lady that ruined Marvel. Dude, go back and watch Dude, the MCU, bro. Think about those Robert Downey Jr. movies. Think about those Iron Man films and those Captain America films and that first two phases. And like, think about those movies and how great they were. And then compare that shit to the shit we got in the last like 2.5 phases. Why is it so different? Well, this lady came on. She's I forget her name. She's gay woman that she's you know wants to that whole article and stuff that I sent you that her and that's her and Kathleen Kennedy. Now they're now she's over at Lucasfilm.
Wow.
Now she's over there with Kathleen fucking Kennedy. So the guys like Dave Filoni and John Favreau that love Star Wars and would be giving us great content, they're outnumbered. They're outnumbered, bro, by not only by all the women at Lucasfilm, but all the men who want to keep their jobs and, want to kiss up and pretend like they, blah, 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 blah. You know how it is. Just go look it up. She's the woman that she just left Marvel and joined Lucasfilm.
Wow. And Kathleen Kennedy's been around a long time. She did a lot of production for Steven Spielberg.
She's done a lot of great movies.
Yeah,
she's got a great catalog under her belt, dude.
Yes, she does, man. She really does. Impressive catalog.
Right. That's why
But I don't understand what gives her the I don't understand what gives her the right to do. Like let's take Robert Zemeckis, right? He was originally supposed to do was it Romancing the Stone?
Right.
And which was a great movie. And when he did it, he did a movie before that and nobody liked it. Oh, no. Oh, they did. Like, I think they liked it. Like, everybody liked the movie he did before that. And then the powers that be just didn't want him to do it. And so they fired him, hired another director. And then he went on to direct one of the greatest movie trilogies of all time, Back to the Future. So now you're like, well, damn. I wonder what this movie would have been like had you let him just stay. So now you put Kathleen Kennedy in charge. The first thing she does is says, none of the books are canon. None of the stuff that you've been reading for years and invested in for years is canon. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna start with all new characters. Like if you want to do new stuff, just do it. Then don't touch none of the old stuff. Why would you even go and do anything? You know what I mean? With these sequel trilogies, bringing in Luke and Leia and Han and Chewie. Why would you even do all that?
Just to kill them off.
Just to kill them off, right? It makes no sense.
That's why. And that's why they brought him on, to kill them off. That's why they brought Luke in. That's why they brought Han in. And they literally killed Han. And they literally had Luke to the point that all he could do. And now the worst part about it is they've got Rey. She's supposed to be heading up the new Jedi Order, right? That's the new movie. She's going to head up the new, start the new Jedi Order. How is that possible when she's not a Jedi? She was never trained as a Jedi.
This is true.
She might, maybe she picked up some Force tricks, whatever. She's not a Jedi. She can't start a Jedi Order. She doesn't know how to train Jedi. Give me a break, dog. Come on, man. It doesn't make any... Talk about stuff not making sense. Okay, this is the lady. So let's check this out. Why did Marvel studio exec Victoria Alonso allegedly get fired? It's less than a week since Marvel studio executive Victoria Alonso was allegedly fired from the company she helped build, and everyone is wondering what triggered the end of her impressive 17-year stint. Variety in particular has several theories, her exit backed by anonymous sources. First, some are saying that there are major problems behind the demanding post-production schedule that led to Marvel Studios to release 7 movies, 8 streaming series, and 2 TV specials in less than 2 years. Complaints ranged from unrelenting overtime to chronic understaffing and inability to avoid delivering substandard work due to constantly challenging deadlines. Some singled out Alonso as a kingmaker who would blacklist artists who have pissed her off in any way. One anonymous artist told Variety that Marvel doesn't figure shit out beforehand. which led to the failure of the studio to provide clear guidelines to its creators, specifically those in charge of delivering the superhero franchise's special effects. Another source pushed back on the idea that Alonso behaved in a way that would alienate artists at the studio. The idea of a very senior exec terrifying rank and file artists, per some reports, feels a bit off. Another former Disney executive added, "She was the epitome of a professional and knows her stuff." Variety is reporting that the decision to allegedly fire Alonso was made by a consortium including Human Resources, Disney's legal department, and multiple executives, including Disney Entertainment co-chairman Alan Bergman. Marvel Chief Executive Officer Kevin Feige did not intervene. He's scared. But it isn't only Variety that has possible theories, so does the internet. Some theorize that Alonso was being scapegoated for the benefit of others. Let's see what Sarah Mars says. "We cut the word fired from my report, but I can tell you the reason Victoria Alonso was fired will probably end up in litigation, and it has nothing to do with visual effects or even Marvel production, period. Everyone should be asking more serious question. Who benefits from scapegoating her?" Okay. Let's see. Others like Chris Lee, a senior reporter at Vulture, had anonymous VFX sources. Alonso was singularly responsible for Marvel's toxic work environment. He said, "So many visual effects sources have told me Victoria Alonso was singularly responsible for Marvel's toxic work environment, a kingmaker who rewarded unquestioning fealty with an avalanche of work, but also maintained the blacklist that kept FX pros wild-eyed with fear." Basically, if you kissed her ass and, followed her agenda and did what she wanted you to do, and Taika Waititi'd it up, she gave you all the work in the world, no matter how talentless you were or how bad you were for the project or wrong you were for the project. Some theorize that Alonso's strong support for diversity in a predominantly male-led company was part of the reason, because we know Marvel has just been so male-dominated with their movies lately. Victoria Alonso, aka woman with a large role in a predominantly male-led company, who was a strong supporter of diversity in the MCU, getting fired because she created a toxic work environment and is supposedly to blame for all the strict deadlines. Interesting. What's interesting is that denial is so rampant in your community. And others are of the opinion that Alonso left Marvel to take on Lucasfilm instead. So now we get to it, okay? She has gone to Lucasfilm.
So she's going to Lucasfilm. They say she got
She ruined
fired.
Marvel.
Then right. So they say she's not fired, but she see.
Something's fishy.
I don't get it. Yeah, I'm with you, Reno. I don't get it.
Kathleen
I don't
Kennedy.
get it.
She wants some more soldiers, someone on her side. It's bro, it's a wrap now. This is a pro. So this guy says, Darren Sheminsky said, "Is it possible that Victoria Alonso left Marvel in preparation to take over Lucasfilm? If she was fired or left, I would expect a statement from Disney. Public companies usually try to spin messaging with these types of high profile departures. This is true. Until Disney execs or Victoria Alonso herself gives a statement, this is all just speculation on what ended her 17-year run at Marvel." So yeah, to answer your question, Slade, that's who this woman is. And oh, ain't she a beaut? No wonder she's so all for like femininity.
Right. But Star Wars doesn't need femininity. And then shout out to the chat.
No, don't say that, because we're not saying that. It already has femininity, plenty of it. Plenty of strong female. It doesn't need extra. It doesn't need any more.
It doesn't need to be feminized.
It doesn't need any more.
Yeah,
right.
it doesn't need to be
No more
feminized. It doesn't need femme fatale. It doesn't need none of that. It just
No.
needs what it always has. Uh, good storytelling,
Great characters,
great
great female characters.
characters,
Yeah,
great female, male, great alien characters.
yeah,
Like you always say, characters that we care about.
right. That's it.
Um, and if if you feminize Star Wars, man, it's gonna do is just push the fans further and further away. People already lost faith in it now, as it is. We like you said earlier, man. We were led to believe this was gonna be the greatest move by Disney taking it over, and it's just not. It hasn't been. It's been a wild roller coaster of ups and downs. I mean, this season of Mandalorian is okay. The first two seasons, great. Book of Boba Fett, you could keep that, except for those Mandalorian episodes. Um, Bad Batch, great. But this season, kind of shaky, but still good. Um, what's the other one? Andor.
Right. Yeah,
Andor was some of the best Star
best
Wars
Star
I've
Wars.
seen in a long, long time. I can't
Mhm.
even. I can't. I'm speechless when it comes to that.
It's great.
The the movies, the sequel trilogies, they were all hit or miss. It started
Yeah.
out good and ended out bad. People just didn't like it. It left a sour taste in their mouth. And George Lucas said that the Emperor wasn't supposed to come back, and yet you brought him back. And you made him and you brought him back.
George Lucas wouldn't have brought him back. That's some
No,
shit that Disney did because they didn't know any better. They just thought, oh, we got this pool of characters that we now own. We can do whatever we want. Let's drudge them back up. Say they're alive again. We never saw his body.
right.
No, we
And
didn't
even
see
if
his
he, and he,
body because it fell into a fucking giant vat of energy and evaporated. What are you talking about? It
right,
vaporized.
right,
They don't know
and
that though.
it,
They don't care. They don't care.
right.
And that's the sad
And
part,
it's
you know?
and it's sad that they don't even have the audacity to try and make Star Wars better, or even try to give us some Star Wars that we could,
Well, maybe
you
they
know,
are. Maybe Ahsoka's gonna be great. I'm still holding out hope that Ahsoka's gonna be good. Um, there's a lot of new projects coming up that I do want to talk about and I do want to get to, and I think that they are going to be good. One of them that I'm extremely excited about is Dawn of the Jedi. We're going to get into that. Okay, another one is we're getting a new season of Tales of the Jedi. How dope is that shit? And god damn it, please let me get some young Palpatine. We had young Dooku. If we get young Palpatine with um Plagueis, Darth Plagueis, bro, they will have made my year. That's all I need. If they give us that,
mm,
they can do all they can Kathleen Kennedy it up for the rest of the yeah. That's all. And Dawn of the Jedi. That's the other. So if they do this right, if they give me this, if they give me this and that, they can do whatever they want. That's how dope those projects are going to be. But let's talk about Ray's
Ahsoka.
Star Wars
All right.
return.
Oh yeah, let's definitely jump into that. Let's see
That's
what we got.
happening now. It's called and this is the worst part about it. The movie is called Star Wars New Jedi Order. I'm mad about that. I'm mad about that because I don't understand how someone who's not a Jedi could start or launch the Jedi Order in any way. Um
Well, this movie will definitely tell us how. I can tell you
yeah.
that now.
And it's not episode 10. That's not the name of this one. So this is not episode 10. It's not this is like Solo. This is like Solo, how it was like it's like a spin-off, it's a one-shot movie. They're doing 3 movies. They're all unrelated. So they're doing 3 one-shot movies. That's what's coming up. One of them is called Ray, or one of them is called Star Wars New Jedi Order. And that's the Ray movie. And Luke
Now,
Skywalker's failure will be complete.
will it be canon? That's the thing.
Well,
That's the true question.
that's the thing because that's what they're saying. They're saying that it was canon because they're bringing her back, and they're bringing her back after this the Rise of Skywalker disaster. Um, but I don't know. Well, here's what we know about it. It is happening. Here's what we know about the movie's cast, the story, the timeline. Less than 4 years after her last appearance as Rey in Rise of Skywalker, Lucasfilm has officially confirmed plans for Daisy Ridley's character return, and she was the main character of the Lucasfilm travesty that we call the sequel trilogy. Became a favorite of some fans somewhere, I guess. I don't know who is a fan of Rey. Everyone I know that loves Star Wars hates this character, loathes it, has no love for it. I have come across people on like Instagram and stuff that I don't personally know that claim to love Rey and are so excited about this movie. And I wonder what sort of level of Star Wars fan they really are. Or how long they've been a Star Wars fan, what they really know of Star Wars outside of the 6 movies the original 6 movies. And because all that matters. All that matters. If you're a fan of Rey, all that falls into play. Because if you like a lot of people, Stu, a lot of this generation, this sequel trilogy was their introduction to Star Wars. And if
Right.
or if you were really young, or if all you ever did was watch the Star Wars movies and you think they're really cool, you never read no books, you never got into the comics, you don't even watch the animated shows or none of that. You just watch the movies because you think they're cool. There's a lot of fans that are at that level, and those fans were totally hoodwinked by these Star Wars movies, by Disney, just like I said, like McDonald's does you with food. They looks great, feels like it, seems great, smells great, tastes great. There's nothing inside. You get nothing out of it. You're hungry an hour later. But while much of the recent Star Wars movies focused on Rey's past, new Star Wars New Jedi Order represents a hint of her future. So Daisy Ridley's Star Wars return as Rey was officially confirmed at the Star Wars Celebration 2023 at the big event, right? So and she'll be seen again in Shireen Obaid Chinoy's upcoming Star Wars movie, which was announced by the studio with the title. And when they introduced her on the stage, Stu,
Mm-hmm.
first they brought out someone, I don't know, I don't know who it was. Everybody clapped, yeah. Then they brought out Kathleen Kennedy. Bro, barely anybody clapped. And she walked on stage, and you could tell it cut her, bro. She walked through, it cut, like it was so thick you could cut it, bro. The lack of clapping. She comes out, right? Next, Diego Luna comes out, the star of Andor. That's who came out. Motherfuckers lost their mind. The place erupts with applause. So Kathleen Kennedy comes out, no one claps. He comes out, they erupt with applause. Now Rey comes out, they're announcing the new Rey movie, and people clap and kind of, oh yeah, like she gets a little something, and she stands up there and she's like, oh, but it's bro, it's so embarrassing, dude. It's embarrassingly, because Diego Luna just got, an explosion of applause. And so, man, I don't know, man. I know they're in denial. They live in denial. So they're not going to see that as like a sign that, hey, maybe we shouldn't maybe go forward with this movie. Maybe we should leave that storyline where it ended and leave it alone. And let's make some new stuff, because that's the only way that they can really redeem themselves, Stu. They ruined that whole Skywalker saga. Like that
Yeah, they
ends to me with the prequels, or with Return of the Jedi, right? Return of the Jedi, that's the end. Anakin dies, that's the end. To me, that George Lucas wrote that, Star Wars, the whole saga, it's to him, Luke isn't the main character. It's always been Anakin. In Luke's in George Lucas's mind, it's always been Anakin. So Anakin, the prequel starts with Anakin as a little kid. He's born, and Return of the Jedi ends with Anakin dying in his son's arms, and that's it. That's the end. That's the end of the story. They came. Disney came. They did
which
the
is
sequel,
great.
which is
Which
cool.
is
It's
great.
great. I'm
That's
fine with
great. That's cool. Yeah.
fine with that. It's a great story. One of the greatest stories ever fucking told by humankind in history. And so, boom, done. Now Disney gets it. They buy it. They Hollywood it up. They McDonald's it up. They Coca-Cola it up. They brand it up, and they spit out some shit. And they got this High Republic thing, and they're doing cool, man. Whatever. As long as there's some talented dudes like, oh, that dude that made the Clone Wars show and that guy that made the Rebels show that was so cool, that Dave Filoni dude, he's coming over and he's gonna make some stuff too. That's cool. Like John Favreau's in there, he's gonna make that's cool. But Lucasfilm as a whole, it's Disney. It's not Star Wars anymore. It's just Disney Star Wars. So I think we'll get peppered in decent projects, peppered into a massive shit. That's what I think we're headed towards. But let me tell you about this movie because here's what we know about it. So Star Wars The New Jedi Order is confirmed to take place later in the Star Wars timeline than any other announced project so far. This is as far into the future as they've gone. Okay. This is set 15 years after Rise of Skywalker. So Rey is now 15 years older, which places the film's events in 50 ABY if you follow the timeline after the Battle of Yavin. Let me get a beverage, guys. I've been talking my ass off. Hang on. All right. The placement of Star Wars New Jedi Order is significant for Rey's return, as the sequel trilogy movie events took place across only 1 year. And this will allow Daisy Ridley to play a 34, 35-year-old Rey, which is much closer to the actor's actual age. So she's no longer playing like way younger than she is. And, it's not really episode 10. What the speculation could be, based on the title, the story should revolve around Rey reforming the Jedi Order as a Jedi Master. Somehow. Whatever. Again, if you like Rey and you like what happened in the canon in the Star Wars in the sequel trilogy and you want some Rey stuff, here's a little Rey movie for you. It's gonna be chock full of all the Rey absurdity that you loved. She's a Mary Sue, just what you love. She's instantly adept at everything, better than all men in every way. Period. And basically, needs no training. Of course not. She's a woman. She's instantly a goddess. So if you like that, they got a movie for you. It's called New Jedi Order. And if you think that she's a Jedi and you can follow that and that doesn't cringe you to death and you can actually get down with that, then here you go. And we might see her searching the galaxy for other force sensitive tweens like her, and training this new generation of Jedi who guarantee there'll probably be 10 kids. Every single kid is going to be a different race, a different gender. It's going to be the Rainbow Coalition, very, very diverse. They're going to, be trained as the new Jedis before this, some new threat will be arising. The formation of this new Jedi Order could lead Rey across to cross paths with Grogu potentially. I'm quite sure if they're as absurd to do this movie in the first place, yes, they're gonna put Grogu in it too. It's Rey, Grogu, you bet. Depending on what happens to him in the Mandalorian spin-offs and the Mandalorian movie that they're doing, that we'll get into in a second. So yeah, so probably they're gonna waste Grogu on this movie. There's no other Star Wars cast members, of course. Finn, would never. John Boyega, man, shout out to John Boyega, man, and salute to him, man. And we feel for you, bro. They robbed you, bro. They did you dirty, man. And I wouldn't come back either. I wouldn't mess with them either, bro. And kudos, man, for you, because he won't. They couldn't pay him enough. Well, I ain't gonna say that for you, bro. Maybe, maybe, but I don't know. He don't want to come back. Oscar Isaac, um, they've both been more open to, returning as Finn and Poe as time has sort of passed, because they were definitely not with it then, but they may come back in some capacity, but I doubt it. If anything, a very quick cameo. And it is also possible that Force Ghost Ben Solo, Adam Driver, Kylo, aka Ben Solo, which should be Jason Solo, but I digress. Based on where Rey's story was left with Star Wars Rise of the Skywalkers ending, more of BB-8 and the Millennium Falcon can be expected for sure. And Lucasfilm did not officially announce Star Wars A New Jedi Order release date. So the next available date on Disney's slate is December 19th, 2025. So Rey's return in Star Wars New Jedi Order could come by then if it's the next movie on the docket. And this would mean only 6 years will have passed in real life between Daisy Ridley's Star Wars appearances. But no new movies were released between. But if you think about the amount of time it took for the other actors from the other trilogies to be in Star Wars again, like Luke and Leia and Han and them coming back, like how many decades? And they're already giving Daisy Ridley another movie. Like she had her trilogy. Like they didn't do that with anyone else.
No.
Just saying.
And John Boyega, with the story that he tells, he was supposed to be the lead character, and they bamboozled him halfway through. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see, man.
Well, Rey is
it might be good, but I doubt it.
I mean, nah, there's no chance it'll be good. No chance. The reason there's no chance is because no, there's no chance. There's no chance. Literally, there's no chance, and I'll tell you why. Because there's no possible way that they can make Rey a Jedi. They can't go back and say she was trained as a... Bro, remember when Anakin came to the Jedi Council? He was he was like, what? He was like 9 years old or something like that. 8, 7, 6, whatever. They were like, he's too old. They were like, no, he can't be a Jedi. He's too old already. We can't start training him. They start training you at a toddler, right? At like 2, 3 years old, like 4 years old or whatever. Like that's... So Rey could not possibly be a Jedi, even if, like Luke Skywalker, she became a Jedi at a much older age. She would have needed training like Luke had, from a major, she would have need. So she didn't get any of that. And I don't know, dude. It's just if they would have followed where Luke was headed, which we know because there's comics and books that tell us, Luke would have been like a god by then, and there would already be a Jedi Order by the time the sequel trilogies came around. By the time we come back to Luke at the sequel trilogies and you see him with the beard and all of that, in the comics and the books, guys, that's not what happens to Luke. Luke continues on. He gets married. He has a wife named Mara Jade, and they have a son named Ben Skywalker. And Leia and Han get married, and they have a son named Jason Solo. And then Ben Skywalker grows up and becomes a dope Jedi. Him and Luke go off on hell of adventures and fight the Yuuzhan Vong and big wars. And Leia and Han's son, Jason Solo, he does become a Sith. He becomes Darth Caedus. And it's a dope story, man. And that's, if they weren't going to do that, that's cool, because George Lucas wasn't going to do those stories either. George Lucas had a plan for the sequel trilogy, and it was to be more of a almost kind of the storyline that was starting in the movie Solo, with the Crimson Dawn and the warlords and the kind of like what we're seeing in Mandalorian, actually, with old factions of stormtroopers and you know, armadas that are just decommissioned imperial, armadas and shit like that, and all these troops and soldiers that um are no longer anything, but they've got all this equipment and weaponry and shit, and so they warlords start popping up all over the galaxy, and these little factions and shit, and and bounty hunters and smugglers and gangsters and all of that. That's what Darth Maul was gonna. There was supposed to be some female, see, big female
Mm-hmm.
Sith character that was the big bad. The big Darth Vader of the movies was a female. Like it was, so it would have been a phenomenal movie or trilogy, and they could have done, but I think I think Dave Filoni knows about that, and he knows, he's read that script, he's read that story, he knows all about it. So the stuff that he's sort of peppering in and squeezing in to the Mandalorian and Ahsoka and stuff like that is stuff from and the Solo movie and all of that, Crimson Dawn and all of that is stuff from George's original script.
It makes
And
sense.
yeah,
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
yeah, other stuff like the Legends novels too. Stuff from the
See,
Legends novels is
I've never read the Legends now. I've heard about them, but I've never read them. I heard
yeah,
they're
I mean,
great.
it's brilliant. They're great. They're great. I mean, I've never sat and read the books. I've listened to the audiobooks. And what's dope about the audiobooks is that they have sound effects. You hear, the droids and the lasers and the lightsaber, like they have this, they act the story out and everything. So it's like you're listening to a movie. So yeah, if you're gonna do the sequel, if you're gonna do the Legends novels, go on audible.com and look them up. And that's what you get on. And you're gonna be mind blown, dude. You're gonna become the biggest Star Wars fan. You have no idea how dope Star Wars is until you do that. Because Star Wars wasn't all that to me until I started reading the books. That's when I became like a super fan. That's when I was like, oh, this shit is next level, dog. Like this is some extra. Um, Rule of Two, Path of Destruction, Dynasty of Evil, the Bane trilogy.
Would that be Cad Bane?
No, Cad Bane is the guy you see gunslinging. Bane, I'm talking about Darth Bane. Darth Bane is a Sith that started the Rule of Two. Right? There was all these Sith. There was legions of Sith, a planet of Sith, and this one Sith, eventually made it to the top and eventually wipes out all the Sith and has one apprentice and decides that there can only ever be two Sith, because when there was tons of Sith, they were warring against each other. So, it was just never, it was always, shit. And because of that, the Sith got weaker and weaker and weaker, because every time there was a leader, an emperor of the Sith, some lesser Sith, some weaker Sith would band together, and because it was a bunch of them, they'd group together and kill the main leader, and then the best out of those weak bastards became the emperor. Now a bunch of even weaker motherfuckers crowd together to beat him, and then they take him down, and you see how the leaders are getting weaker and weaker and weaker, the Sith are getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And he realized that in order to maintain that power and strength, they had to eliminate the whole. It could only be one. It could be one Sith master to have the power, and it can be one Sith apprentice to crave the power. And when you get to the point where you can kill the master, it's pretty much your duty to do so. And you kill the master, and then you take on an apprentice. So there only can always be two Sith in existence. That's the rule of two. And there's a whole trilogy about it, and it's mind blowing, dude. It's so fucking cool. It'll make you the biggest Star Wars fan, promise.
I don't understand why they don't do a movie about that. Like that would be dope. We don't
Insane,
have movies
dog.
about the Sith, just like straight the Sith. Like
That's
that would be.
insane, bro.
Even if they made an anime about it, something, I don't give a damn. That would be dope. Because
There's bro, there's so much
because
literature about it.
you see remnants of it when Dooku was training in Ventress,
Yeah.
and how she never could live up to his expectations, And he never
Right.
gave her the Darth title. He never gave her a Darth title. And she was really upset about that.
Yep, and they explain all that. They talk about all that in the books. There's books about Dooku. There's books about Dooku and Ventress. um, a book about Dooku when he was young. Like, remember that show, the Jedi, the Tales of the Jedi animated joint, and we saw the
Yeah.
young Dooku. Like,
Mhm.
that's why I was so hype about that, because I had read the book about young Dooku and his whole story and how he was trained by Yoda and the whole thing, bro. There's books for all that shit. When Palpatine told Anakin about the legend of Darth Plagueis the Wise, who could cheat death and was killed by his master, and then later tells Luke, yeah, he was my master and I'm the one that killed him. There's a whole book called Plagueis, and it's all
Mm.
about young Palpatine growing up, killing Plagueis, and then becoming, Palpatine that we know. Like, a whole book. It's a dope book, and they're talking about maybe making some shit like that. Well, they're not talking about it. Some Star Wars people, that I know, that's sort of what we are hoping happens. That we get that with the Tales of the Jedi, with the animated Tales of the Jedi, because we sort of got the young Dooku, and so we hope that we'll get the young Palpatine this next one. It's wishful thinking, but that's all we can do is hope. Well, anyway, the Star Wars Celebration that announced the Rey movie, announced 3 Star Wars films that will be hitting the big screen within the next, few years. And one of those is an origin story called Dawn of the Jedi. And although there are not many details confirmed about the movie of this yet, and more are sure to come in the near future, there's a lot of reveals that have already been made. And if you're in the know, there's a whole comic series called Dawn of the Jedi that they're
Mm.
basing it off of. So, and I'm gonna teach you about this. I'm gonna run through these with you. And I thought about showing y'all some images off the internet, but I say fuck that. We got the originals. We got the real deal. And what's cool about one thing that I thought was just a really cool little tidbit, a little whatever you call it, factoid, that I liked right in the very first one, but just so you guys can see it on the cover. The word Jedi that we know it, Jedi, was originally, Jedi, Jei''Dai. So a Dash Rendar movie would be sick. The which number was that? That was 4, 3, 4. There you go. So yeah, another cool thing
Yeah,
is
that
the
would be
light.
sick. Yeah, because we've been asking for Shadows of the Empire for a long
Yeah,
time.
Shadows of the Empire, all
I
of that,
never
man.
got it. Yeah, we've been
Great.
asking for that for a long time. Never got it.
Mhm. Let me jump on these comments right quick. See, okay, well here's a good. This is interesting. So yeah, and this is nothing to do with that. This is just they're just using that name, the New Jedi Order. So yeah, there was a set of books, and it's a dope story that has nothing to do with what they're talking about. Ain't no Rey. Um, and Dark Sage, I have an interesting question for this panel regarding Jedi Survivor. All right, we are going to talk about Jedi Survivor. That game looks tremendous. But let me see what he says here. He says, I may be in the minority, but I want to see Darth Vader be the one to kill Cal Kestis at the very end of the game. I understand why fans would be against this, as always using Vader diminishes his character, but I'm curious how they could pull this off if they went that direction in a way that would make sense. Would that be too much of a shock value for fans? I personally don't want them to do a bait and switch where you assume that the final boss is an Inquisitor, have a fight with Vader, and then he easily beats you, since we all know the ultimate fate of Vader. I personally want to see how powerful he really is, and I do not mind if once in a while you get a final boss that you cannot beat or have to lose to. That would be an interesting new way to make it. Stu, you remember Force Unleashed,
Yeah,
where Vader is the big bad that you got to fight. And so
yeah,
they have games where Vader is the big boss. And you have to beat him. I forget how the story works out that you beat him, but he still has a story that goes. I forget. I forget how they work that out. I forget how it ends, but it's a very, very cool story that would make a great film. A lot of people want to see Force Unleashed turned into even at least an animated something or something. But again, that's canon that they say they aren't using in this. Kathleen Kennedy talking about the books ain't canon, you know, Dash Rendar, video game characters, Knights of the Old Republic, stuff like that. So much potential, man, in the games, dude. So much potential.
yeah. Now he's on to something. That would be dope
Yeah.
because Vader, because we know he can, we know Kyle can pretty much, and you as the character beat, the Seven Sisters and the Inquisitors. That would
Right.
be dope for him to fight Vader at the end and lose, and you just can't beat him, and then they show you a dope ending,
Yeah.
you know, related to it. Man, that would be epic.
I
At
mean,
that sell 10 million copies in a day.
listen, but to I'm sorry, yeah, to answer Dark Sage, for me, my answer is that's the type of shit I would love to see. That's the type of shit that, like, I'm even of the minority that kind of wanted to see how it would have played out if Luke would have went to the dark side with Vader. Because a little known fact, George Lucas originally wrote it that way. So that's where I stay with. That's where I stand with that. So I'd love to see Vader kill Cal Kestis and leave that, make an ending. I love endings that are just like kind of like not the happy ending, like the sad ending, because it just hits harder, man. But I don't see Disney doing it. I don't see Lucasfilm doing it. I don't see them, But I could be wrong. Maybe they are. Maybe they will, because from what I understand, man, that game is next level. That game is supposed to be some next type shit. Like, so,
I believe it. I can't wait to
yeah,
play it.
it's possible. It's
Mhm.
possible. Dark Saber or Dark Sage. My bad. It's possible.
I can't wait to
Speaking of
play it.
Dark Sage, but yeah, yeah. Dawn of the Jedi though is I damn near lost my mind, bro, when I found out they were making this movie. Because these books, these comics, this is one of my favorite Star Wars. Bro, I implore you, somebody, y'all have to, if you're watching this right now, if you're not reading this, you ain't doing comics right, okay? You have to go and get it digitally, because right now that they've announced this, I'm so glad I didn't sell these still. Bro,
Mm.
I sold all my comics, bro. I sold majority of my comics. I sold all my Star Wars shit. I had a long box full of just Star Wars whole sets, like whole runs of like the whole storylines and shit. And I kept these because they weren't selling for much. They were I really loved them. And yeah, I was like, you know what? Like, if I'm gonna, I'll keep something. So I kept these, and I kept all my Darth Vader covers and stuff like that. So now that they've announced this movie, I'm guessing that the value, I'm guessing these have shot through the roof. I'm guessing it's a few $100 if you wanted to get this now. That's really how it goes. This is probably worth a few $100 now, or $200-300 maybe at least. Once the movies come out, if they're great, this shit'll go way up and be worth
Yeah, go
hundreds
through
of
the
dollars.
roof. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dawn of the Jedi, Force Storm, this is the beginning of a new age. This badass looking character. Let me blow this up for you guys. This is dope. Check it out, Stu. Right away, you're
That is
like,
dope, man.
who is
That
this,
is
dude?
dope, man. Yeah. Like, who is he a Jedi?
Nope. So you see those things floating in the sky?
Right.
I'm gonna. All right, check it out. Y'all gotta see this. Okay, so y'all want me to really? I'm gonna story time it for y'all. Here we go. Story time. Our story begins long, long time ago on planets far, far away, 10,000 years before our time. For a millennium, high in the snowy Anobi mountains of Ando Prime, the Dai Bendu attend a massive edifice they call the Tho Yor. The monks knew the Tho Yor was not of their world. Within its sealed structure, they sensed great mysteries waiting to be revealed.
Mm.
And so the Dai Bendu waited. They contemplated and meditated and listened with their minds and their hearts as well as their senses. One day the Thoyor spoke to them. Grandpa, you here? He said, Grandpa, you here? He said, I, the Thoyor calls us. So the Thoyor, that's these floating pyramid shits. So this is the movie that they're making, guys. This is crazy. This is super dope. This is why I'm excited. They heard the call in their hearts, in their minds, not with words, yet as a voice heard in stillness when all was in balance. An invitation. There were no questions among the Dai Bendu. This was their moment. This was the moment for which they had all been training and had been prepared for. This was the fulfillment of prophecy. The Dai Bendu entered the Thoyor following that prophecy and found revelation. The Dai Bendu is Daibendu. You can't read that. But anyway, they're like a monk. They're like a monk faction, right? And those are the, what you call them. Yes, you have to, bro. You have to, Slade. I'm going to just give y'all the intro. 7 other Thoyor repeated the pattern throughout the galaxy on Kashyyyk. Y'all remember Kashyyyk, the Wookiee planet. Wookiee warriors defending the mystic pyramid heard the call and found peace. On Dathomir, the shamans and seers encountered the Thoyor in dreams and visions. The Thoyor sang to them. Dathomir was where the Night Sisters were. Remember the Night Sisters from what you call them? From Clone
Right. I
Wars?
remember that.
Yeah. So there they are. The Thoyor came to where like the humans were. They came to where the Wookiees were. These big pyramid shits, the Thoyor, they just floated out of nowhere and they just came to these planets. And sort of brought the force in a way. So they followed the song and found harmony. So then the Twi'leks on Ryloth, the Twi'lek philosophers debating on the source of the mystical energy they felt surrounding them, heard the call of the Thoyor and left the safety of their caves to venture into the desert. By instinct, they knew the answers they sought lay beyond their world. They entered into the Thoyor and found enlightenment. On Manan, the Seklath, scholars and scientists paused in their studies as the door of the great Thoyor opened. These dudes are underwater. This is some underwater planet type shit. So basically, this thing went everywhere. These Thoyor. The 8th Thoyor visited many worlds, gathering other sentients who heard the call, then sped toward the center of the galaxy. Within the deep core, where dark matter causes stars to collide and space can warp in the blink of an eye, the Thoyor navigated the twisted paths between black holes and stars, arriving at the final destination.
That's dope.
Bruh. The planet Tython, where the ships gathered around the 9th and largest of the Thoyor, the planet heralded with the arrival of the great storms. On this world, the travelers felt the energy that surrounded them, the same mystical primal energy, the same force that they had first heard call to them from Thoyor. On that day, the travelers became as one in the force. The Thoyor left the central pyramid to take the travelers to their new homes on the strange world. Once in the Force, these travelers from diverse and distant worlds also became one people. They became the Tithans. So that Thoyor went to all the different planets and all the different species from all the different planets, all the mystics, all the monks, all the philosophers of all the races got into these big ships, and all the ships converged and went to one big planet and dropped everybody off together, all the different kind of people, and they became one kind of people, the Tythons. And you see them doing their Tai Chi shit right here. And see that red dude? That's a Sith. Not the Sith like you might know, not the Darths, but the alien race of the Sith. The Sith were an alien race that were not dark side users inherently. They did become adept at dark side, and so they became, uh, a lot of other species came and studied with those dark side users and just started calling themselves Sith too, and then sort of Sith became synonymous with that sort of religion, and the name transferred into meaning something more. But originally, it was these people here. They've got, let me get that. They've got these the red skin and like these red skin tendrils that hang like Fu Manchu mustaches. And then you see the dude over here using the Force and levitating some shit. Everyone has vibro blades at this point. There's no what do you call it? There's no lightsabers yet. So as the millennium unfolded, the Jedi, remember the Jedi, Jedai, the Jedi built a great civilization, established temples, cities, seats of learning and healing, each centered around a Thoyor. But not all of those born to the Jedi could become Jedi. Those born without the ability to touch the Force were at the mercy of the planet. Even the Jedi could not always protect them. And basically, there's a lot of creatures and monsters and shit all over the planet that basically they're saying pretty much eats you. It became clear after the lost city of Arum was destroyed that Tython, the planet, was too dangerous for those who could not use the Force. So now, in the second millennium, a second migration took place. The Tythons who were not Jedi, who couldn't use the Force, had to leave, left Tython, and going first to the moons that floated around Tython, Ashla and Bogon. That's where they went. The non-Force users had to go live there because only Force users could survive on this. Basically, think Avatar, the planet in the movie Avatar, how it's like, you can't survive, everything wants to kill you, that type of shit. Like, that's how Tython was. So you pretty much had to be, a Force user to survive there. So the other people go and habitate these two moons, Ashla and Bogon, and this becomes important later. This becomes important with the creation of the dark side and the Sith and lightsabers altogether. Lightsabers are actually created by dark users and originally can only be used by dark side users because they can only be powered by dark. I'll get into that. Well, they're going to get in. I'm not going to get into that, but this book gets into that. But it was the time of the great sorrow, of the terrible necessity. Families were slaughtered and many sundered and starved. In many cases, the wounds never healed. Those born with the affinity to the Force were always brought back to Tython. From youngling to apprentice, from journeyer to ranger, and finally to master, a Jedi grew. Passing from one temple to another, seeking knowledge, seeking balance in their Force, their creed, a message of peace. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no fear, there is power. I am the heart of the Force. I am the reveling fire of light. I am the mystery of the darkness, in balance with chaos and harmony, immortal in the Force. The Jedi originally believe in balance. They don't believe in just, you got to be the light side, everything the light side, stay away from the dark side. Anything that leads toward the dark side is taboo. No, they believed in balance, yin and yang, right? The balance of the Force, dark and light, got to be equal.
Right.
From Tython, the children of the Jedi spread about across the Tython system, traveling toward the sun that they settled on Sunspot and Malaria Nox in the arid Krev Koyer. So the art is great in this book. Really cool characters. as you see from the cover. Some great action. But obviously the best part and the coolest shit is the lore and the history and stuff like that. But one of the really most interesting parts are these guys. You see these guys with the funny heads and the eyes that I'm pointing at?
Right.
They're called the Rakata. So I want you guys, your homework is to Google the Rakata. All right, because these guys are everything. They are the reason that pretty much everything happens with the galaxy and shit. Rakata, Rakata. It says Tatooine, a lush world where twin suns warm fair skies, a thriving world where the Kuman live peacefully in gleaming cities along its blue seas. Tatooine, the desert planet, right? Where that we know of as a desert wasteland of scum and villainy. This was a lush planet with oceans and shit. But that was before the ships of the Infinite Empire darkened the skies, before the Rakata came. Primitive these, worth the journey, Zesh, worth it to me. Yes, Predor Tokar. So that's your guy that's on the cover. And he's like a sort of like a henchman, not like a henchman, like a right hand man to the Rakata. The Rakata have slaves, and all the slaves are humans. And he's one of the human slaves, but he wears that helmet. And he's like a bodyguard dude, and he's like a force user, and he rocks a lightsaber. And the Rakata invent that shit, but the Rakata are adept at the dark side. You see them using that force lightning. So all that Sith shit, all the dark side powers, force lightning, all of that, these guys pretty much are the source of all of it. And see this cool chick here with the white dreadlocks? Bro, they have some badass looking characters. Bro, she's that bro, it's too much, dude. Look at her, bro. Look at this. Look at this. Wait, there you go. How dope is that?
That's super dope.
There you go, Kathleen. Plenty of female characters. Plenty of them.
Mm.
You could have cast in, man. You could have cast in, bro. Fans will lose their minds for this shit. So that's the comics, okay? That's the comics. And I'm glad that everybody watching this gets to see this, because otherwise you guys probably will never have known how dope Dawn of Jedi film could have been. Because I don't think we're going to get any justice from Lucasfilm. But we can always pray. We can always hope. And Dawn of the Jedi, the film that we, so far would be dope to see for new fans and the casual audience to see how the Jedi operated when they first, came about, how they came about. Compare that to the failing Jedi Order that most fans know of in the prequel trilogy, the High Republic, all that shit. All fans really know of is the Jedi basically failing, and as well as how Luke Skywalker failed at rebuilding the Jedi after the events of Return of the Jedi in the canon, because in the books he did not fail. In the books, what obviously made sense to happen after what happened in Return of the Jedi, we saw the ending. Everybody was happy at the Ewok village. He waved at the Force ghosts. They were clearly communicating. They were going to continue to train him, as they did. He continued to train others. He grew in power. Like all of this normal shit that progresses in the books. But for some reason, Disney, we know the reason, and it's Kathleen Kennedy. They decided that, we're going to start over with a woman, and that's going to be the new Luke. And we're going to make this Luke just look like a fucking buffoon. We're going to have him fucking walrus titties. All of that. Huh? Okay. Dawn of the Jedi will, though, be unlike anything I think that has been seen in Star Wars before. The film is supposedly set to take place. Why didn't you say nothing? I'm still in full screen. My bad, bro. Oh, my bad. Dawn of the
Now
Jedi
you were
will.
showing the now you were
I don't
showing
want.
the joint, so
Yeah, no, I know, but
yeah, nah,
I don't
that's
want
all good.
big ass
Mhm.
close up on my ugly mug. Uh, the
So
film
how would
is
so here's a question. Here's a question now, because now I'm thinking now that you showed the comic. So
right.
where does it? All right, they want Ray to be the face of Star Wars, right? Bang. But then Kathleen Kennedy said that Ahsoka is Favreau's baby. That's his or Filoni's baby, one of them two.
Mhm.
And so where will Ahsoka fit in all this?
We're
Because
gonna
right
get
now
there.
they're using yeah. Because right now they're using the Mandalorian to kind of promote Thrawn, Ahsoka, and we only got one episode left. So
Oh yes, we do.
it's going to be very interesting to see
Mm-hmm.
how this plays out.
Mm-hmm. That's for damn sure. Uh, but we'll get to that. I promise. Like I said, I promised some people on Instagram that this was gonna be a deep dive, and we were gonna go all in and talk about all the Star Wars shit. So we're gonna get to everything. I promise. It's a lot to get to. We're gonna go in tonight, y'all. Strap in. We geeking out. We nerding out. Straight up. I got my shit rolled up. We're geeking the fuck out. The film Dawn of the Jedi takes place like these comics 25,000 years before the Phantom Menace, the episode 1 of the prequel trilogy, right? 25,000 years before that. And this means that the Dawn of the Jedi will explore the events before the Old Republic. So Knights of the Old Republic, all of that Old Republic, beautiful, great shit that I hope we one day get. That's all in the Legends books that supposedly weren't good enough. That seems like everything they're getting is coming from those books now. What a coincidence. But hopefully we'll get that and will take place. But it's gonna take place before the upcoming Acolyte series. So it's gonna be way before anything. There is nothing in Star Wars. There is no storyline. There is no era in any Star Wars lore or storytelling that takes place before Dawn of the Jedi.
Mm.
This is the earliest of any Star Wars anything. Okay, this is the genesis of it. If Star Wars was a Bible, Dawn of the Jedi is Genesis. Um, some Star Wars novels have discussed the High Republic and the Old Republic. No canon explores this age of the galaxy of the Jedi outside of these comics. No books, right? There's nothing else but these comics. I don't know if they're going to even acknowledge that these comics exist because so far they're not. So far they're acting like they're pulling this out of their ass.
Right.
This has never been an idea before. They're inventing it. Uh, so
Actually, it's been invented.
actually, there's a whole fucking comic series about it.
Wow.
But like, uh, like Spade was just saying, he was saying, the other, what did he say? He said the new Star Wars New Jedi Order was a set of books that he read in 2000. So how can they do the new movie called Star Wars The Jedi Order? They might just be doing that, man, and they might just be doing that with the Dawn of the Jedi. They might just be using the title and making some whole new shit that has nothing to do with it. Maybe there will be no talk of the Jedi. Maybe the Rakata will not even be mentioned. Maybe there'll be no Dai Bendu. Maybe no Thoyor. Maybe none of the dope shit that is in the Dawn of the Jedi comics will be mentioned.
Maybe
And
they'll
at this
rename them.
point,
Maybe they'll put them in there, but rename them.
well, and that's very possible because that's kind of what they did with the Sith Wayfinder. That was based on a Sith holocron, which is a completely different device. That they totally hijacked and used in that movie. Then but You remember the movie Logan, okay, with Wolverine, that the ending, the death of Logan, should have been the end of Hugh Jackman's character, and it was a great movie, especially the black and white noir version. The director of
Yes,
that
it
movie,
was.
yeah, it was great. It was great. I love it. Can't say nothing bad about it, really. The director of that movie, James Mangold, is set to direct Star Wars: Dawn of the Jedi. So that's good news. That's a good director. That's a director that's done some good shit. Now he's also directed the forthcoming Lucasfilm movie Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which I don't hear good prospects about, which is set to be released in June. Because Dawn of the Jedi is in early stages of pre-production, basically just being talked about. There's been no announcement regarding the cast or which characters that the story is going to center around, or given the time period, um, there should not be any familiar faces, no familiar names, nothing you've heard before, literally like nothing. If it's done right. That's what's so great about these comics. Everything in these comics, it's all new shit because it's not in anything else, but it's historical and fits as if it's always been there, and it makes perfect sense. So it's like we say all the time, if they stick to the source material, they've got a gold mine, but they never do. But
I
we'll
never
see.
do.
We hope they do. We
It's
hope they do.
sad, man, and it's sad because like I said, I've never read any of the books other than the comics. I've read the comics and stuff they do, and I thought that was great, like Darth Vader and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you just do a Darth Vader series, leading off of some of the stuff that happened in the comics? Why wouldn't you do some of the stuff, uh, Shadows of the Empire? We've been asking for that since Nintendo 64 was out.
Mm-hmm.
Can't get it. You just want to throw these new characters. I mean, it's a bunch and it's a plethora of Star Wars material that could be put on the big screen, whether it be anime, whether it be live action. They just won't do it, Reno, and I don't understand why. I really
I
just
don't
don't.
either. There is no good fucking answer to that.
Yeah,
Um,
like I've heard people talk about the books. Um, like I heard
yeah,
people say the books. I heard people say the books are really dope. Like there was some
books in the
race that
game
they
too.
fought. Yeah, the games. There was actually a Darth Maul game that was made that never got released.
Yeah.
And they said it was damn near finished when they scrapped it.
Well, there's an
I don't know
old
why they
game.
scrapped it,
There's an
but
older
they said
game
it was.
called Knights of the Old Republic that talks about this Dawn of the Jedi shit.
Get
Talks
out.
about, yeah, Knights of the Old Republic. So that's what I mean. Like a lot of this good shit is in these games. Dawn of the Jedi, the movie might feature the first Jedi or the Prime Jedi. Um, and they might not go with the comic. They might go with the games and stuff. We might get the now non-canon Legends characters that created the Jedi Order, like Master Calibrin, or Garen Jard, or Ter Sendon, and basically an image of the Prime Jedi that we saw was in Star Wars: The Last Jedi on Octo as the artwork in the cave that Luke Skywalker visits. If you notice, so Star Wars: Dawn of the Jedi was a Legends canon. It's officially a Legends canon's comic book series written by John Ostrander, which it focuses on force sensitive individuals that are not yet the Jedi Order or none of that. They reside on planet Tython. They become Tythonians, but they're all different races of all different type of planets, and they create the Jedi Order, which was seen as the predecessor to the Jedi Order, and it's currently unknown at this point if their Legends storyline is going to get retconned, or if John Ostrander, who wrote it, is connected to the Dawn of the Jedi movie, which would be great if he was. Then hopefully it would be somewhat close to the comic. But either way, Dawn of the Jedi could go back to Octo, which uh was first seen in Star Wars The Last Jedi movie. That was the um and that's their canon, that's the sequel trilogy shit. And the story might feature some of the same shooting locations and go back to the tree with the sacred text, the one that Yoda so dopely pulled lightning out of the sky and broke and burned. Dude, that was like dope, bro. That was one of the best scenes in that whole trilogy for me, was when Yoda called lightning down. Yoda's force ghost was so powerful as a force ghost that he literally summoned lightning bolt to strike the tree and burn it. Like, that's some X-Men shit, dude. That was epic. That's some Legends shit. That's some Legends shit. That's some shit you would see Luke do in Legends. Like, that's some shit that the Jedi are capable of that they never talk about. And that's what I mean. Like, there's some people, working in Lucasfilm that are true fans of this stuff, that read the books, that know all this shit, and they pepper in these great things that people that read the books go like, yeah, tell me that it ain't canon if you want to. You can't fucking stop the greatness. But yeah, it's like, we don't know. Dawn of the Jedi will come out in theaters. But it's supposed to be a biblical epic. That's how they're describing it. Which is what the comic sort of is. Definitely will be a new version of Star Wars that nobody has seen before, which, given Lucasfilm's recent history with Star Wars movies being canceled, a quick turnaround seems unlikely, which is intriguing to speculate over what Dawn of Jedi could be about. But yeah, I think we'll get more info, down the road. But yeah, man, I'm excited about it because the potential, that's the one thing Star Wars still has me. They can still make me excited. I'm still excited about stuff that's coming that I know is probably gonna suck. Like, I really think, I can't wait for Ahsoka, bro. I can't wait.
I think Ahsoka, yeah, Ahsoka's
Looks
gonna have
great.
to be our new. That's gonna have to be our new crack.
I know, man.
We don't know what the Mandalorian is going to do, and we don't know how it's going to end up or what they're going to do with it. So that's our only hope right now.
Pretty much.
And Bad Batch has been good. And Andor. Don't forget Andor.
Well, Andor's great. Andor's got a season 2.
Yes, they're filming Andor season 2 right now as we speak.
Yeah. So, but we did get that dope Ahsoka trailer that gives us the new aspects of the movie, the show rather. Sorry. Rosario Dawson's version of the character was introduced in The Mandalorian season 2, and was some of the coolest scenes in the whole Mandalorian series rather. I think Ahsoka, that whole arc with the Japanese style shogun castle, and dude, that was so. I don't know if anybody caught that. That was straight up out of a samurai movie. You had her stalking the forest outside, and there's this castle with these guards, and the daimyo is in the back, right? And she has to fight her way through the village. Like, bro, it's straight out of an anime movie. It's straight out of an anime film. Feudal Japan, right? Like, type shit. So, let's see. I think it's August. No, I don't know what the date is, but I know it's sometime in August. That it's going to come out. Ahsoka. And we did get the official trailer and all of that with the extended version, which was screened exclusively for the attendees of the Star Wars celebration that went on in London. So we didn't get to see that, but while to the public version, this trailer, the extended version, included a front shot of Grand Admiral Thrawn. Because remember, we only saw his silhouette from behind. So they reveal him as the frequently fan cast Lars Mikkelsen that we know he is going to be. And the footage also had a shot of the Purrgil. Remember I talked about the space whales, the Purrgil,
right,
from Rebels? And that's the last time we saw. That's the last time we saw Ezra and Thrawn was floating away with the Purrgil. So there's a sequence of Sabine wielding what is likely Ezra's lightsaber against Shin, which is one of the show's new villains. And Ahsoka, the Mandalorian season 2 debut effectively set up the primary premise for her Disney Plus show. So Lucasfilm and Disney are essentially adapting Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire. So Thrawn, the whole character of Grand Admiral Thrawn, is from a book trilogy called Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn. That's also legend. So telling y'all, man, there's so much stuff from the legends, from the books that are coming. Shit. That hang on, man. There's somebody at my door, Stu. Give me 5 seconds.
Yes, Ahsoka would be our only. That looks like it's going to be our only hope, man. And if we, we've given a lot of Star Wars shows a lot of chances, and they just haven't produced, man. They haven't shown up for us, man. They haven't shown up to play the big game. But right now we're going through this Star Wars lore, to kind of get you, hype about a few things, or maybe, put your excitement back into Star Wars. Whereas if we can't get it from Disney, we can get it from somewhere else. We can get it from the books. We can get it from older material, cartoons, TV shows, whatever we can get it from, but we can get it.
Yes. I know what you said.
Now I was just saying, speaking about all this lore, like this lore showing in the comics, things like that. If we can't get the dope Star Wars material from anything new, we can always go back and get some of the old stuff, because sometimes you gotta go back and get the old stuff to get something new. And we know those things were great, except for the Star Wars Holiday Special, which they redeemed themselves with the Lego Holiday Special.
We don't talk about that.
Right. So we only talk about the Lego Holiday Special. That is the true Star Wars Holiday Special. The Lego one. That's the one we all watch.
It's some of the books, man. Some of the comics are just. Some of these are just recent stuff. I mean, it's all out there for y'all. This is my little Vader collection. All Vader covers. That's just what I held on to. Darth Vader covers are dope. That's Crimson Reign. That's the sort of what do you call it? Organized crime.
That's dope.
Faction. Yeah. Vader's Castle. That's like the movie, the 50th anniversary Lucasfilm cover joint.
Do you have do you got a Darth Vader number 3?
I don't know.
I know one.
I know I got
Darth
a
Vader
number
1 that came out in 17. And I know Darth Vader 3. Those are worth a lot of money.
That's what you call it, concept art.
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's actually a real concept sketch of an early version of Vader's helmet.
All right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then this is all.
Now, if you got a 3 or a 1 Reno, you in business.
Oh, that's number 1 right there. That's Vader number 1 right there.
Is that the 20? Is that the 2017 joint?
Mm-hmm. That's the
$60
joint. Yeah, well, it might be more now. I don't know. Rogue One, one of my favorite films, probably my 3rd favorite Star Wars film of all time. Got a dope little comic series.
Yeah, because I know 1 and 3. I forgot why 1 and 3 was sold, but I think I collected the first 10 or 12, and then I just randomly picked them up for their stories after that. But I know I dove into a real deep the Vader joints, and they're dope.
This is just a book full of covers. different.
That's dope cover. That's a dope cover right there.
Yeah, it's like a book full of art like that. I like the toy pack.
I always get those. Even if I don't read them, I just pick them up because I like the way they look.
Yeah. Had to get the Boba. And that's War of Bounty Hunters #1. Oh, nope, that's #2. That's the one with Jabba and the Carbonite Han on the cover with Boba. Then that's War of the Bounty Hunters #3 with Vader and Boba on the cover. And that's War of the Bounty Hunters Alpha, the prelude that comes out right before War of the Bounty Hunters with Boba Fett. That's the variant cover. And then you got War of the Bounty Hunters Alpha, the other variant cover. This is before Boba Fett was ruined. This is when Boba Fett was the dopest character in Star Wars. This is War of the Bounty Hunters #1, the director's cut. So this is an extra thick comic with extra what do you call it? Sketches and shit like that. And IG-88 #1. Jabba the Hutt #1. War of the Bounty Hunters. Boosh. So remember this character? Remember this suit that Leia wore when she came Han from Jabba?
Yeah.
Well, this is the actual guy whose costume she was wearing. So it was a real guy. They're making it that it was a real bounty hunter named Boosh, and he's part of a whole culture who have helmets that are sort of, this kind of style, sort of, and kind of like Mandalorians in a way. And that's his name, Boosh or Bausch. And I always liked it because I always liked that suit. I always thought that was a dope ass looking character. I was always so let down when it was Leia. And as a little kid, I used to always, every time the helmet would come off, for some reason, as a little kid, I would hope that it would be somebody cooler underneath, but it's always Leia. That's funny. But this is if you were that little kid, this is your comic right here. And this is the clan, his little clan that he's got with him, and you can see their helmets are similar but different.
No TV show about that. Nothing on Disney Plus.
Nothing. The potential is there, though. I mean, the potential is there. The source material is there. It just depends if they're gonna get somebody. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy, why do you want to do it? Like, you don't care about Star Wars. You don't love Star Wars. Go do something else. Let somebody that loves it do it. Why do you want to do it? You're not gonna get praised as the one that made this great $1 billion. No, it's never gonna happen. That'll never happen. It'll never come to you. It's nothing she could do to make that happen after what she's done. There's nothing she could do to turn it around.
Wow, I think that's what she wants, Reno. I think she wants to be, she wants to be that girl. She wants to be the one that, say, well, this era of Star Wars, I did this, I did that. I think that's what she's shooting for.
She can't have it. She can't have it. We're not doing that. No. But so Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn, where I was, they've got the trilogy Heir to the Empire, and it's dope. That's another trilogy I want to take pause. The Bane trilogy, go pick it up, and Heir to the Empire, go pick it up. And I recommend you do audible.com and do the audio book version, because they're just that dope. If you want to get the physical books, more power to you, go for it. But two of the best trilogies in Star Wars literature, Grand Admiral Thrawn comes from these from Heir to the Empire, and that's what they're calling the something to do with Ahsoka. But so he's part of a race called the Chiss. Thrawn, the blue guy. He's blue with red eyes. They're called the Chiss, and he's a tactician. We last saw him in Rebels in the finale, where Ezra Bridger sacrificed himself to make sure that Thrawn could not get out and not escape, and threatened Lothal and its nearby planets. So now, however, he's apparently back and perhaps even more powerful and formidable than he was even in the novel. So Grand Admiral Thrawn's return to Star Wars ties Star Wars Rebels into the events of Dawson's upcoming Disney Plus series, Ahsoka. And the images we've got of Sabine Wren and Hera Syndulla, I'm not super happy with how Sabine looks. Hera, I didn't really look too hard at. She kind of looked okay, but Zeb looked great. We saw Zeb in The Mandalorian, and I thought he looked great. What'd you think? Did you see him? You saw him, right, in Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Zeb?
Yeah. I thought Zeb
I
looked
thought he
good.
looked. I thought he looked good
Yeah.
in live action.
Yeah, I did too.
Because we've only ever seen him in animation. We've only ever seen him in Rebels and the animated shit. Yeah, I thought he looked good. And that's saying a lot because I don't like the character of Zeb. Really, I don't really like those type of characters. Like in the Bad Batch, I don't like the big goofy guy. Like I don't like when they make big stupid characters. I think I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. It's mad prejudice against big people because Bane, for one, is a brilliant genius, is a tactician, and they always make him some big slobbering thug. So, but interestingly, the Disney Plus series could also finally give Star Wars Rebels an ending because it ended with this cliffhanger.
Yes, it did.
I mean,
yes, it did. And everybody talks about that. Everybody talks about how that ended because we got nothing after that. It was just done. Like it was like they ended it, and it was worse than it was. I don't know, man. It was epic, but it was bad because we wanted more, and we were like, "Yo, like what's next?" Like, and we got nothing. We got crickets until now with Ahsoka. But hopefully, this picks up where that left off, and we can actually get some closure with that storyline and what happened to Thrawn and Ezra. And that's another question too. Will Ezra show up in Ahsoka? Like, will we get Ezra in Ahsoka?
Yes, 100%. These are some of the characters that we are definitely that we've already seen. That's Hera, the green Twi'lek. The reason I don't like Sabine is why did they give her long hair? Sabine has like a pixie, like a bob.
Yeah, she does.
If I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
So it doesn't even look. She looks weird. It looks weird with the long hair. I remember her having a bob. Let me see. Yeah, look, there she is right there in the back. It's even shorter than I thought.
Yeah.
I thought it was like that's damn near, bro. Yeah, that throws me off because she has a really dynamic character design. I really liked the colors that they used for Sabine. Really liked how they made her look. So that sucks. That's Syndulla. So there you see side by side. That's how she originally looked, Hera Syndulla. And here she is. It's like, all right. I mean, what more can you ask for? She's green. She's a Twi'lek, and she wears that thing on her head. So I don't know.
It
looks
it's
goofy.
Close. It's close.
But it looks fine. Yeah, I mean it's close.
It's close. Yeah, I'll take it.
Twi'leks don't have that big lump on top of their heads that they always put in these movies. The tendrils come more off the back, not this big shit on top of the
top. Yeah.
But Yeah, but then we got Sabine. Okay, so there you go, side by side. Horrible, horrible. And look what she's wearing. That's like a CW. That's just like a cheap ass jacket from a thrift store with like some cheap patches that they sewed on. I mean, it's bad. And like a shitty old shirt that someone sewed or bought at Target. Like, this is the worst costuming I've seen in a long time. Look what she's wearing in Rebels. Dope ass armor. She always had the dope ass armor. Let me. You know what I'm saying? That's why do we get this when we should have that?
Yeah, that's dope.
You know what I'm saying? She got the armor. I think this comes off. Yep. Yep. Boom. Short hair. She's got orange and purple short hair, and it's a cool look. And that long hair shit just looks crappy. It looks cheap. It not cheap, but it looks like they didn't put no, and they didn't. They don't put no thought into it. They don't care about it that much. They're not putting no effort behind it, and you can tell. Chopper looks like Chopper. They couldn't fuck that up, so that looks cool. That was cool to see Chopper. Kind of hard to ruin that. Ezra remains to be seen. I don't know this actor. I don't think any of us do, so we don't really know how he's gonna do. Does he look like Ezra? No one looks like Ezra. Ezra has a weird design. He doesn't look like a human. So, but yeah, does he have sort of darker skin and dark hair? Yeah. What else? Thrawn. All we see
Yeah, we just keep seeing the back of his head.
Yeah.
So far, the back of his head looks on point. Looks like the real Thrawn. That looks like how he should look from the back.
Yeah. Let me see if I got. Yeah, check this picture out. That's how that actor could look. That's how that actor would look. With the with the prosthetics and all of that. And that's obviously Rosario Dawson. But yeah, that's what now in the UK, the Star Wars Celebration in the UK, they got a front face reveal. So I don't know why. I haven't found any images of it, but someone has to have snapped the shot or recorded it or whatever. Zeb, like I said, dude, he looks wicked cool. They made him look dope. Everything about him looks cool. I was never a fan of this character just because, again, not really. I don't know. But this look, it was the original. What do you call it? Concept art for a Wookiee. That's what Zeb is. He's one of the concept designs for the original before they came out with how Chewbacca looks. This was one of the possibilities that Chewbacca could have looked like. Oh, wow. So glad they didn't do that. Yeah. He wouldn't have been as cool. Wouldn't have been as iconic, I should say.
No, we love Chewie just the way he is.
Yeah.
He made a good choice.
But yeah, they're decent. Aside of Sabine having long hair for some odd reason. Who knows? But
I just didn't want to cut her hair. Maybe she was like, I'm not cutting my hair.
I mean, cool, wear a wig. It's like what everyone else would do. That's what I mean, wear a wig. I mean, and look at Sabine's hair. Would look good as a wig. I mean, a wig rather would work easily. But I digress.
Yeah, this is true. Well, we remember Cesar Romero didn't want to shave his mustache as Joker, so it has happened before.
Well, you said earlier about You said who is this? Who is this new stuff for? Like what fans, or who is this designed for? Like who are they trying to get, or who are they trying to,
Impressed,
you
man.
know,
Like,
oppress? Lucasfilm believes, or so they claim, that everyone will find its next 3 Star Wars shows easily accessible. Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy spoke with IGN Nordic about Ahsoka, the Acolyte, and Skeleton Crew, and confirmed that if fans lack prior knowledge of these characters, they'll still be able to enjoy the shows. And translate what that means is these shows characters, they might look like characters, but they're really not. They're just new characters that may have some resemblance to your favorites. um
hmm,
what'd she say? She said what we are seeing, and Dave Filoni talked a lot about this, we are seeing the opportunity for fans to find where their entry point is in Star Wars. There's a lot of things now going back almost 50 years, she said. She said, so you don't want people to feel like they have just seen everything in order to step, or that they have to see everything in order to step into Star Wars. And we also want to look at the generational aspects of Star Wars. It's always been something that has been passed down. But you don't want to pass it down. You just said you don't want to pass it down. You said you want people that never knew about the other movies could like it. You want it to, and that's exactly what they, because basically it translates to, we don't care about the past stories. We're not gonna like try to match up to any of that. Everything's gonna be pretty much new. So any fan could like it without having to watch the. No, we know what that means. We know what it means
right. We know exactly what that means.
because we've
What do you
seen it.
think about what do you think about Star Wars Visions?
Um. Well, obviously, one of my favorite things that we've gotten since since Mando. Phenomenal. I hope that we get the other one, the new one, soon. I know it's gonna take a while, but they're gonna do another set of them, I believe. From
Yes,
what I
they actually had a trailer. There's a
yeah.
trailer out for season
Oh
two.
yes, yes. It's amazing, dude. Um,
Yeah, they have a trailer, and the trailer looks dope.
yes.
Like the animation is dope. So it's a little kitty, but I
Well,
still like it. I still like
yeah,
it.
and that's the anime of it. A lot of anime has that kitty sort of feel to it, if you will. But let me see if I can give you an idea of what visually it might be like, or is like. So that's a great version of a Sith right there, a great Sith. And we saw some awesome new characters in the original Envision Season 1, Volume 1. Um these characters look just as cool. You've got a cool stylized, art style, yellow lightsabers, different new colors of sabers, which means more lore and Legends lore, because all that different color sabers is from Legends. Um, looks like, and you've got different factions, different types of monks, different types of spiritual sects besides just the Jedi, like the Wills, like we saw in Rogue One, Donnie Yen playing. There's some Studio Ghibli looking stuff. Looks like we've got some cool CGI, obviously, definitely some cool anime versions of stuff, looking like some mech stuff, tech stuff, some claymation, um, really cool, highly stylized versions, just like season one. But this season seems to have more of a couple of physical animation, like claymation, and some order, multi mixed media animation, which is cool. May the 4th May the 4th, Star Wars Day. Um,
Look at that. That looks dope right there. Look at that.
bro, I can't stand it, man.
Look at that, man. Bruh.
I can't stand it. It's incredible, dude.
Get that,
Season 1,
brother.
guys, if
Season
you
one, season one was great.
yeah,
I
if
mean,
you haven't
season
seen
one was.
season 1, I implore you, waste no time. Do yourself a favor. Go watch Visions season 1 for some mind-blowing shit. Really good. Just
It
that's
was
that's
too.
all I
Yeah,
that's all I
season two
can.
looks great, man. Look, I mean, just looking at that,
Yeah.
animation, man. It's just. I think they taking it up a notch.
And that's the that that's the conundrum, bro. That's why it's like I haven't that's why I haven't just completely given up on Star Wars, because there's some creators out there that are still giving us that good shit. It's like hip hop. Hip hop seems to have died, right? It seems that this music coming out, like, what the fuck is it? But there's some cats within that are doing some dope shit and have talent, and so you gotta discern. You can't just be like, I'm just done with Star Wars, because it's not all shit. It really isn't. There really is some good stuff. I know a lot of people just think it's just crap. They're just done with it. I know a lot of Star Wars fans, they're done. They're like, cool, I'll stick with the original movies that I've always loved, and that's it. This new stuff, they can, whatever. It's not my thing, not my Star Wars.
Yeah, I know. I do know a couple of hardcore, and I mean hardcore Star Wars fans that are like that now.
Yeah.
They just like, all right, man. I'm cool with what I got. Any of the
Mhm.
new stuff, I'm just whatever. It is what it is, and they just pass right over it.
That's it.
Call them old
Because,
fashioned, call them whatever you want, but they have a
hey,
right to like what they like.
that's it. And speaking of old fashioned and shit, like, this new show that is Jude Law, called Skeleton Key, is supposed to be like like an 80s coming of age, like the Goonies, something like that. Aimed at younger kids. We'll have teenagers and stuff like that. Will be the main characters will be young teens. But apparently it's still supposed to bring in the fans and the adults and stuff like that. But I don't see it. I don't see even being able to sit through it. I think it's going to be cringe. Uh, bro, I don't think it's going to be watchable for an intelligent adult. But who knows?
No, you don't think so?
That's my prediction. But I think it's Kennedy says, a kid that can step into Star Wars and make it their own. And I think that's the beauty of the storytelling that's going on now, is that everybody can find where their entry point is. Aimed at younger kids, but will still bring the fans, still bring in adults. Kathleen Kennedy said. So I don't buy it. Where Skeleton Crew's heroes remain unnamed, Ahsoka will mark the titular character's first standalone live action adventure, following cameos that we've seen in Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. And joining Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka are multiple characters from the Clone Wars and Rebels shows, including Natasha Liu as Sabine and Mary Elizabeth as Hera Syndulla, that we just looked at pictures of. And additionally, Star Wars Celebrations Ahsoka panel did confirm Lars Mikkelsen, who is the voice of Grand Admiral Thrawn in the Rebel show, is actually playing the live action version of Grand Admiral Thrawn. So when you see Thrawn, that guy is the actual voice of Thrawn in the Rebels show and stuff like that. So you'll get that nostalgic vibe if you watch those shows. You know, Thrawn is a expanded universe villain, no question. Who's been erased from Disney canon until Dave Filoni brought him back as the Rebels antagonist, and now the Ahsoka show. By comparison, the third show that's coming is The Acolyte, which takes place during the High Republic era, which I
Mm.
loathe. I loathe because the writers they don't know anything about Star Wars. They think death sticks are cigarettes. They have a talking boulder. It's just it's horrible. Um, there's no Sith whatsoever. There's no war whatsoever in Star Wars. No war, no battles, no fights, nothing. In the whole comic series, books, they deal with like bounty hunters and mercenaries and things. You know, the Jedi are basically like cops that float around and deal with criminals, pirates, and stuff like that. That's where the pirate shit in Mandalorian is coming from. All this Pirates of the Caribbean, aliens, seaweed aliens, is all from High Republic. So I hate it. I can't stand it. I don't want nothing to do with it. And this Acolyte show, which is supposed to be about a Sith, it's all about the Sith. It's all this dark Acolyte stuff. Supposed to be my favorite fucking thing. It's probably going to be one of my least favorite things because of who's making it and what they're making it about. I'm sorry, guys. Who's calling? Oh, yeah. Hey, how you doing? Yeah. Sounds good. All right. Just ring me when you're outside. All right. Thanks, buddy. Bye. Want to make sure that's my landlord. My bad, y'all. Had to answer that. It's the landlord. He's coming to pick up the rent. He'd been out of town, all whatever, and couldn't get it. So anyway, my bad. Sorry about the interruption. I'd cut that out if this was recorded, but this is live, y'all. We get it in live. We bring it to you raw and uncut. But yes, so by comparison, the Acolyte takes place during the High Republic era. So, an ongoing Lucasfilm multimedia project, formerly limited to novels and comic books, now being described as Frozen meets Kill Bill.
Mm.
So yeah, actor Amandala Stenberg, I think is Amandala Stenberg. The Acolyte will introduce a new Jedi cast and include the choreographed fights between various Force wielders, as teased during its Star Wars Celebration preview. And if you have been watching any of this, Obi-Wan, Boba Fett, whatever, any of these recent shows, any of these lightsaber duels have been utter garbage. The choreography in any of these fights have been trash compared to, dude. Think about the shit that Anakin and Obi-Wan were doing in the sequel in the prequel trilogies, right? The flipping around and you know what I'm saying, the lightsaber work. We didn't get any of that in any of the recent stuff. I've seen actual side by side comparisons of the choreography fight choreography from the prequel trilogy versus anything since. And it's not even, it's sad, bro. Like, it's actually embarrassing. So you can bet we're gonna get, this is gonna be like I say it all the time. It's like a CW show, in terms of quality, in terms of cheapness. Other
Yes.
upcoming shows like Visions Volume 2, Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures, which is going to be a real little kids cartoon that could be,
Yeah, I see.
cool for
Yeah,
kids. That might be cool for kids.
yeah,
If
that
you got
might
little
be. Yeah.
kids, that's fine. If you got little kids, May 4th. And then 3 new films also in development, right? The one of which will be directed by Dave Filoni and wrap up the story, The Mandalorian. So they are doing a Mandalorian film, a full feature length Mandalorian, the movie. It's happening. Dave Filoni's directing it. From what I understand, it's going to go to theaters. I don't know if it's going to stay going to theaters or end up being a streaming only movie, which I suspect, but we'll
Mm.
see. We can only hope
Which means, which means
that
that if
it'll
it's
be
gonna be a movie, we know he's not gonna die.
right. Right. So At least not today. Not in this current.
And this day and that right here. Day and age.
Yeah. I'm bringing it to you live, bro. Bring it to you live, y'all. Need a pen. My landlord's about to pull up, and I got to write on this damn money order.
Well, Reno's away. We'll bring you a commercial break and show you Blam, Mr. Freeze from McFarlane Toys.
Yo, did you see that? Yeah.
I
bro, I almost ordered one myself.
Yeah.
Oh man, is it everything I dreamed? Is it dope?
Yeah, it's dope. It's dope.
I mean, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's dope.
Man,
it's dope. It's the more modern version of Freeze,
right?
From the comics, rather than the old one with the clunky suits.
Right.
Rather more than this is dope. I also picked up Blam, the Todd McFarlane designed Wonder Woman. It was on sale.
Oh shit!
Popped up on Amazon. It's on sale. I picked it up. I got it for about $12.
Nice.
So I had to get it.
That's what I'm talking about.
I just had to get it. I don't have a Wonder Woman by Todd McFarlane, and this one will do the trick.
They got a Aquaman for like $14 on Amazon. I probably grab just because it's cheap.
That's why I grabbed Wonder Woman.
It looks
I
good.
Because she was cheap. Yeah, right. That's the only reason why I got her. I mean, I wanted a Wonder Woman, and I was like, man, I could wait for him to come out with more of a classic one.
Right.
Or I could just snatch this one up. It's a new design. It is Wonder Woman. So I said, I'm just gonna go with the McFarlane design just to add some depth to my collection.
Right. Yeah, man. I almost ordered it, but instead I got the Batman Hush. So that's gonna be dope. I can't wait to get that.
I want that Batman.
The Hush Batman looks so dope. I didn't even know it was out. It's a blue and gray Batman. That McFarlane is just putting out. So I think it comes out. I think he said it would be here in June or May. Yeah. Star Wars finally reveals how Skywalker's Wayfinder works. That's funny because it's like totally a Sith. It's totally a holocron. And that whole planet Exegol. Why'd they make up a planet called Exegol? There's a Sith planet in Star Wars. Like there's already a Sith planet. Like what? I don't understand why they made up a planet called Exegol. It sounds like a fucking toilet cleaner. And just get the Exegol and put it under the bowl. I don't know what was Exegol. Sounds like a disease. I got eczema with some Exegol on the side. Let me take my Exegol for my eczema. I don't know, dude. It's horrible writing. The whole thing. I sound bitter, but it's because I love Star Wars. Because I love Star Wars.
It's the world we live in now, man. When we were growing up, people that made Star Wars, RoboCop, Batman, they were very creative, man, and they were fans of the genre and the things that they did. Nowadays, people just, I don't know, they don't use their imaginations. They aren't creative. They aren't, everything has to be based in reality. It's got to be real. I don't understand that. I don't get it.
Yeah.
That's, fantasy, science fiction. That's what it's for, man. It's just to use your imagination to take us somewhere that we've never been, and that's been lost. Hopefully we get it back, but it's been lost.
We can always dream. So this is dope too. But I don't know. It's kind of absurd. It may be fake. I don't know. $100,000 Grogu toy. Check this out.
That's real.
And guys,
yeah, that's real.
My landlord's down here. I will be right back.
Yes, this is a real Grogu toy. If you got 100 grand, you can get it. I mean, look at it. It looks real. Look how it's moving. Looks like the real Grogu on the show. His ears move, eyes move, hands move. I wonder if he chirps like Grogu as well. Look at that, 100K. That is. I wish I had the money. I'd get it, but I don't. The animatronics are dope. Um, but for 100K, I'm sorry. I can sit and watch. I just don't have the money to buy. And I would love to have that Grogu sitting in my house somewhere, just to amaze people when they come over. Hey, hey, you got this guy? Yeah, I got that. It's great. But there are some expensive Star Wars toys out there. And like I said, if you had those Vader comics that I was telling Reno about, um, you're in business. Because Vader's one of those comics that are overlooked. I mean, and because it's overlooked so much, um, you can actually get them for kind of cheap and slab them and do what you got to do because they go for, I think book one goes for maybe about $100, a little over $100, and three goes for like 200, something like that. So if you can pick them up, you know what I mean, and add them to your collection, do what you got to do. Yeah. But as far as some of these upcoming Star Wars films, and I'm not too excited about it. But I know me, I'm gonna go watch them anyway. I'm gonna pay the money. I'm gonna see them, But hopefully they give us something to like. Star Wars is a staple, man. We've loved it for years. We stood behind it for years. It's our thing. It's our bread and butter. For them to butcher it the way they did, it makes you wish that George Lucas would have never retired as early as he did. He gave us a couple more years, but I get it. Can't stand the spotlight all the time. So, you know. One thing we gotta ask for this next Mandalorian episode is, will Thrawn appear in the season finale? Will we get to see his face? Will he show up? Will he just give us a cameo? Doesn't have to be long, but will he show up? You know, that's a question for the masses. That we're asking, because they talked about him last episode, but we just didn't get to see him. So we'll see what happens this time. Uh, as far as Ahsoka is concerned, we'll definitely get to see him in Ahsoka. But my question is, how far into Ahsoka will we get? Will it be like halfway through? Will it be in the beginning? Will it be at the end? How much Thrawn will we get? How much Thrawn won't we get? But Thrawn is uh, a big character when it comes to her story. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Uh, they have online, if you can find them, Andor season 2 set photos. Uh, and one of them teased the return of a major Clone Wars character. Uh, I don't, I'm not too familiar with the clones, but I know Zeb is one of the ones that I know, that I do know. And Zeb is the one that's teased to be uh, making a live action debut in Andor season 2. Um, Rex is another one. He's not going to be in Andor, but he's another one of the more famous clones, Captain Rex. So we'll see how he looks. I don't have any photos. I don't think Reno has any. But if he comes back, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Um, as far back to Thrawn, A lot of people might ask, what's the big deal with Thrawn? Why is he so popular? Well, like Reno said, Thrawn is a character that he's like the head warlord. And you can see like in the last episode of Mandalorian, how when they said his name, all the rest of those moths, they were like, yo, like Thrawn, like okay, like we follow Thrawn. Like whatever Thrawn, says we do. And because Thrawn is such a big character after the fall of the Empire, it's going to be interesting to see, with his return, how powerful he is. Is he going to show up with a fleet? Is he going to raise a fleet? Does he have a fleet hidden somewhere? Troops? We don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. And what happens. So, but as far as him showing up in the Mandalorian, yeah, I hope he does. I hope he shows up. I hope we get to see, And if you thought Moff Gideon was dangerous, Thrawn is much more of a opposing figure than Moff Gideon. Much more dangerous, much more in command, much more feared, and much more followed. Even Moff Gideon himself doesn't will have to take a backseat to Thrawn. But that Imperial Shadow Council, that's what they were called. If you want to know, that's what they were called in Mandalorian. And that Shadow Council, like Reno said, they're just a bunch of moths that are doing their own thing, and they're holding down their sectors. Thrawn wants to destroy the Mandalorians because he feels that they're a threat, and the Mandalorians, if they could unite and stop warring with each other, yeah, they would be. They would be quite a threat to be reckoned with. So we'll see. Mandalorian final episode comes out, Wednesday morning. I'm gonna get up and watch it early, and we'll be, talking about it live here on Wednesday when we do the show, and see if we either be disappointed, disillusioned, or we'll be standing up and giving a standing ovation like we did at the end of Andor. Because Andor was just great, man. There's nothing bad I could say about Andor. It was a phenomenal show. I would like to see more of the Imperial Shadow Council in the next season of Mandalorian.
Is anyone still here?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, man. Sorry, guys. Jesus. I mean, interrupt you, Stu. My bad. Yeah, the my landlord, dude. He's just said, yeah, talks and talks. What are you gonna do? I can't be like, hey man, I'm live on YouTube, bro. You gotta leave me alone. What are you gonna do? But yeah. Now, what were you talking about, bro?
I was going over the Shadow Council.
Shadow Council.
Yes, for Mandalorian. When they were speaking with Moff Gideon and going over Thrawn. I was talking about Thrawn a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Will he make an appearance in this last episode of Mandalorian? How far will we get him into the Ahsoka trilogy? I mean, the Ahsoka show. Will he be in the first episode, last episode? Will he come in the middle? We don't know. But we
Well,
do know
during
that
it,
Thrawn plays a big part
yeah,
of her show, and he is
yeah,
the big bad.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And there was an interview on IG with IGN at Star Wars Celebration. Ahsoka's director Dave Filoni was asked whether the finale of Mandalorian season 3 will lead right into the upcoming Jedi series spinoff, making specific reference to the mention of Grand Admiral Thrawn in Chapter 23 of Mandalorian: The Spies. Is the name of the episode. So Lars Mikkelsen Thrawn, who will serve as the main villain of Ahsoka, was referenced in the Spies episode of Mandalorian in a conversation between Moff Gideon and other Empire leaders. Teasing his imminent return to the forefront. Filoni shut down the notion of the Mandalorian leading directly into Ahsoka with a definitive no, but then seemed to imply some potential connection in revealing that he wouldn't look at it that way. um, he said, no, I would say no, I don't think so. I wouldn't look at it that way. I think that as much as these shows are tangential to one another and in the same time period, I think it's important that you can watch them on their own. So sort of cryptic, kind of dodging around the answer, but after noting how the Mandoverse shows are tangential to one another, while still being viewable as standalone, Filoni teased, how those who have seen the other projects might get a little bonus. So he said, but they build, if you know, so in the same way that if you've seen the episode The Jedi in The Mandalorian, then Ahsoka's gonna make you're gonna get a little bonus. Like, oh, I understand what's going on from the get-go, but you're still gonna understand what's going on. End quote. It's so weird reading quotes because they sound funny. Anyways, Star Wars veteran that he is goes on to note Star Wars history of picking up a story midway dating back to its origins, and by the same way he promises he does dive right into the story in Ahsoka. He said, we picked up A New Hope at episode 4, right? When it starts, Star Wars starts, we pick up at A New Hope, it's episode 4. So Star Wars, to us, we came in the middle of it. So there's a history in Star Wars of just diving right into the story. So I really dive right into the story with Ahsoka, but I know more about it because of the work of The Mandalorian. So, and then Filoni continued to share his desire to ensure viewers are never missing out by not watching the other Star Wars projects. But he notes that, how they can help the audience know and understand more, which is a very odd thing to say since you had to watch the Book of Boba Fett to understand why Grogu is back with Mandalorian in season 3. So that's a big contradiction there, Dave. But he said, and it's the same with Skeleton Crew. We never want to create a situation where you feel like you have to have seen things because then you're missing out. And I don't know how fans feel, but do you have to have seen the Clone Wars to understand Ahsoka? No, you don't have to have seen that. Does that help you understand her more? Sure. Now, I don't know, man. Do you have to have seen the Book of Boba Fett to know why Grogu is back with Mandalorian? Yeah.
No. Well, yeah, you only got to watch 3 episodes.
But
still,
you have to watch them.
Yeah, you got to watch them. Yeah,
and that's a whole other show.
So do you have to watch Star Wars Rebels in order to understand the Ahsoka?
Apparently not, which is fine. But you can't say that you just are that way across the board when you so clearly botched it in that other situation. But The Mandalorian's reference to Grand Admiral Thrawn in season 2 basically amounted to just a singular line to reveal that Ahsoka remains on the hunt for him. But in season 3's latest episode, we had Moff Gideon and his crew more directly alluded to Grand Admiral Thrawn's imminent return as the one who will bring the Empire back to its former glory, possibly. And of course, Filoni and Favreau may have just been trying to get fans excited and plant seeds for the Mando versus next entry, Ahsoka. But this conversation seemed to be setting the course for the rivalry between Gideon and Thrawn. So there might be a Moff Gideon Thrawn battle or face off or team up. I don't know, with the former having proposed the need for new leadership. So they might work for each other. Gideon might work for Thrawn. Who knows? Perhaps Thrawn's return could come as soon as the Mandalorian's finale. We don't know because we still have one episode left. He could enter the fray, to quash any leadership challenge from Gideon or step in, because Gideon has posed a major threat for, since the first season. So Thrawn arriving to sort of shut him down would quickly mark him as the huge big bad, right? Just someone that can just step in and just shut Gideon down. That just tells you right away this is someone to not fuck with. It's like how Vader comes in, so. And there's every chance Gideon's Thrawn reference may be the last of season 3's Ahsoka teases. That might just be all we got. But Filoni's indecisive wording of "I wouldn't look at it that way," seems to hint towards some setup. Even if the spinoff ends up recapping any of the storyline, for new viewers jumping into the Jedi story, but we might see it in a post-credit scene that Ahsoka might pop in or Thrawn in Mandalorian. So we'll see in August. But it could be similar to how season 2 included a stinger to set up Boba Fett's new crime boss era and formally announce the Book of Boba Fett for the following year. But Filoni definitely put a lot of emphasis in the IGN interview on his desire to ensure all his Star Wars projects can work as standalone projects. That clearly has not been the case so far. But in contrast, Book of Boba Fett dedicated, a lot of those 3 episodes to directly following up to that season 2 of Mando. So, but for now, we'll just wait. We'll see how, the finale this week will set up Ahsoka, if at all. Will Thrawn make an appearance? We'll see. Because the Star Wars show does have a history of hiding surprise cameos. Obviously, we had Luke Skywalker come in, and that was crazy. And, Book of Boba Fett and all of that. So anything can happen. The season 3 finale is this is Wednesday, is the 18th, the 19th. The 19th. And then Ahsoka comes out in August. So be ready. And guys, I do apologize, but I do have to we do got to wrap it up. I think we dove pretty deep.
Yeah, we went way off the deep.
Yeah, I think we dove pretty deep into Star Wars. What do you think of the Grogu toy? That was crazy, right?
Yeah, bro. If I had $100K to spend on it, yeah, I would do it.
I'm saying, dog.
But $100K, damn, bro.
Jesus. But apparently it's like AI and shit, like real AI and shit.
It looks dope.
Yeah.
At about $100,000. So this is the most sophisticated servos in the world. They're glass smooth.
Yeah, bro, 100 band. Like if I was a millionaire and shit, you would definitely come in my house and see that in my man cave, just chilling, straight up, no question. And it's crazy that a gimmick like Grogu, the whole concept of Grogu, is not something I ever thought that I would have ever dealt with, man. But I like the little bastard. So man, we'll see. But guys, have a good. I'm saying we all do. Have a good Monday night, man, and a great Tuesday. And we'll see you guys back on Wednesday for that Mando finale, and we'll get into it, guys. And y'all already know what it is. Every Monday, every Wednesday, every Saturday, 7 p.m. right here. Peace.
600. Peace.